This morning, let's have some energy. Right. Mr. Nagari Krishna is currently serving as the director, Danfoss Industries Private Limited, and heads the Public and Industry Affairs function at Danfoss India. His particular areas of focus are on achieving sustainable development goals through energy efficiency. Krishna is basically a mechanical engineer with marine and control specialization and an alumnus of IIM Calcutta. He is a member of the CII National Task Force on Cold Chain, CII Energy Efficiency Council, member of the ACREX Hall of Fame jury, and plays an active role in committees of industry and governance forums. May I now invite Mr. Nagari Krishna to deliver the welcome address, please.
Good morning, distinguished panelists, delegates, guests who are in the room, and all the people who are watching us online. It is indeed my proud privilege to deliver the formal welcome address during this very important conclave being organized by MMA in association with Conrad Adenauer Stiftung on the theme CSR and the decade of action. CSR Spark is the knowledge partner for the conclave, and I consider it as an honor to welcome this morning Mr. Ranganath NK, Grundfos Water Ambassador, Grundfos Pumps Private Limited, who has kindly agreed to be the chief guest and deliver the inaugural address to us. Grundfos, which is a sister organization of Danfoss from Denmark, they have done pioneering work on sustainable development goals, and Denmark and companies in Denmark have inbuilt sustainable development goals into the way they do business. Development initiative and government of Tamil Nadu, as we know, has been a pioneer in integrating human development indices into the vision document, and they have not only tried to benchmark the state to be the best in the country, but they are looking at benchmarking themselves against the best in the world. And we do look forward to Dr. Sujata's insights on how do we take this forward. I also take this opportunity to welcome the members of MMA and invitees who have joined us this morning at MMA Management Centre, and the viewers and members from all over Tamil Nadu and Pondicherry, members of CSR Spark, invitees, and large number of participants from all over the country who have joined this conclave online. There are a large number of guests from other organizations. Let me briefly tell you about MMA. As you may be aware, Madras Management Association is the largest management association in the country and has been awarded the best management association in the country consecutively for the last 11 years in a row. Thanks to the tireless efforts of the MMA Secretariat led by Group Captain. MMA conducts over 750 programs a year on various management topics and makes phenomenal contribution towards propagating management movement among the corporate members, students, and the public at large. Today we have an interesting theme for the conclave: CSR and the decade of action. CSR is a concept which drives business enterprises to take into account their overall impact socially, economically, environmentally, and undertake initiatives to create a positive impact. Businesses normally strategize CSR practices that align with the organization's overall mission and help support these goals. In India, we can proudly say that most of the business houses are doing some pioneering work in this area. The Section 35 of the Companies Act 2013 created a global precedent by making CSR compulsory and a part of the profits to be spent for CSR. But what we have seen is that many corporates in India have been doing much more than what is required to be done legally. But through this act, an annual spend of close to 15,000 crores is going into CSR, and we need to understand how this can be directed towards improving the sustainable development goals of the country. The sustainable developments, as most of you are aware, is adopted by the United Nations. There are 17 SDGs, and the United Nations plans to ensure that we work towards achieving the sustainable development goals by 2030. Recently, United Nations has renewed the effort, calling for a global effort during this decade, which we are calling the decade of action, to ensure that the sustainable development goals are achieved. In India, along with the government, the Indian corporates have a pivotal role to make this happen in the country. And I am quite happy to see that the corporates are taking very positive action here. This event envisages to elaborate ways in which we can do more and understand how we can strategize our work towards achieving these sustainable development goals in India, and work towards a way where India not only achieves delivers its economic and business results, but also does it in a sustainable way, ensuring that everyone is brought out of the poverty, and we protect the planet. I compliment MMA and CSR Spark for coming together and deliberate on the nuances of this act, and what are the proposed amendments that we could look at the CSR rules. I take this opportunity to also welcome our current president, Mr. Ravichandran, past presidents, managing committee members of MMA, distinguished invitees, student members, and viewers from all over the globe watching this program live on YouTube, Facebook, and MMA Live webinar. Wish you all a great and enriching conclave. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Krishna, for this wonderful head start for this conclave. Now we have the award presentation ceremony. May I request all the students who are about to receive the awards to take the place here, come out of it so that we waste less time. As a prelude to the 19th All India Management Students Convention, which was held on the 17th, the Thursday, a number of competitions were held. We thank almost 15 members of the jury and the quizmaster, Mr. Anand, who has helped us in this process. Our compliments to all the winners and all the participants in various competitions. Some students have participated virtually from outside Chennai. There are many of them. They are not able to come and receive the awards in person today, and the rest of them are here. So may I now request the chief guest, Mr. Ranganath NK, to please give away these awards, and I also request May I request all the dignitaries to take their seat on the dais, please. Mr. Ranganath N.K. is a mechanical engineer from the College of Engineering, Gindi, Chennai, with management degree from XLRA Jamshedpur. With over 4 decades of experience in marketing, sales, design, project management, finance, HR, business strategy, and general management, he's been the president of the Madras Management Association in the past, the chairman of Tamil Nadu Council of CII, and the chairman of AEEE, Alliance for Energy Efficient Economy. During his 20 years in Grundfos Palms, he not only set up the company and its production facilities, but also built the brand equity. He retired from Grundfos recently this year, but continues to represent them in initiatives on sustainability, energy, and water conservation. Currently, he is on the board of a few listed and other companies as an independent director. He is also part of the CII National Committee on Skill Development, Manufacturing, and chairs the CII Southern Region Committee of Skills, Education, and Job Creation. May I now invite Mr. Ranganath to address the delegates, please.
Thank you. Good morning to all of you present here and all those that are online watching this. And a special welcome to Mr. Krishnaswamy and Dr. Sujata to MMA. It feels nice to be back at MMA. Maybe I should remove this and speak, it's easier. Yeah, the building didn't look this way when I was president in MMA. It was very close to my office. But then some faces don't change, like all the secretariat. And I used to call him my boss at that point of time. I'm sure he drives Ravi also more than Danfoss drives you. So without the secretariat, we wouldn't have got where we are today. And I'm glad to see that MMA, when we got the bestest thing when I was president, it was the 3rd or 4th consecutive one, and now number 11. So it's amazing. So we're talking today about CSR and the decade of action. And decade of action is something, is a phrase coined by the world leaders in September 2019, when they said that they have to look at speeding up the attainment of the sustainable goals, because we had only till 2030 to do this. So the alignment between SDGs and corporate social responsibility is very vital to ensure that we achieve these SDGs, because all the SDGs are based, or I would say they are corporate social responsibility put in nice blocks of 17 numbers. And it will be a very powerful mechanism to grow and to ensure that we attain these goals by 2030. Looking at it from this point of view, I'm not sure we would achieve all those goals. In fact, we are slow in some, we are okay in some, and we are negative in some compared to where we were in 2015. And that's rather sad. But mapping of SDGs and CSR initiatives will help most corporates and companies basically to sort of ensure that they are on the right track. So if you see what is CSR, it started off as a charity at one point of time. Maybe even thousands of years ago, there was charity being done, either by individuals or by organizations or by kings. Later on, charity and it was focused basically on human beings, predominantly. And then came philanthropy. The word changed to philanthropy, where more corporates came in, more individuals came in, and then it went from just total focus on individuals to perhaps all living beings. And now we have CSR, which was, all these were voluntary till a few years ago, till 2013, 14, I think, when the law came in India. CSR encompasses everything that helps us sustain this planet. Very often, I hear, and even on the portals of MMA in the past 10 years ago, I was laughing when people told me, if we don't do something, the earth will die or the world will die. We are stupid if we think the world will die. Human beings will die. Rest of the things will go on. Now we saw in this COVID pandemic, everything lived well and the world revived itself except for the human beings. The only thing that will disappear like dinosaurs are human beings. So there is a certain self-interest that we actually save this planet for ourselves. Very, very what you call selfish kind of motive, but it is motive enough to do if you really want to see human beings live. So the CSR Act came into being, I think, 13, 14, if I remember right. He's the expert on that. So what was voluntary became mandatory. Now, that's not a nice thing to happen per se, but I say that CSR Act was good in a way that it focused people into doing something, into action, which otherwise we might not have seen. Has it gone well from 2014 till now? He will probably talk more about it, but I'm not very satisfied, but we have made progress. In the beginning, I found unscrupulous people trying to get money from corporates and give you a CSR fund, we will do something. I also found unscrupulous politicians jumping into this with all kinds of NGOs. But all that is past. I think corporates are woken up. I remember my own discussion with the politicians says, sorry, every time you open your mouth, I think you're taking my money. I can't work with you that way. You tell us what you want to do. Anyway, I knew him very well, so I could speak this way, and I don't try to do things. So he said, okay, fine, I agree with your point of view. I said, most corporates would think this way. We told, why don't you tell us what to do? We will do it. You can take the credit if you want. We have no issues. But we want to see the job done. That's important. Implementation of what our intent is very vital. If we really need to see anything, leave alone CSR, have an impact on the ground, and more so CSR. So, what does SDG do? And what does CSR do? Basically, it classifies things that need to be done for a better and inclusive world. That's all we're looking at, a better and inclusive world for all living and sentient beings and for everything else. Because we are all interconnected. Very often I find sustainability in silos. It never works that way. You can sort of say that everything is interconnected. Your food security is connected to your water security, is connected to your economic security, is connected to to the rest of the things in the world, to the climate. Ultimately, if you're just looking at one silo and ignoring others, you won't get the required impact. But at the same time, you can't go behind everything. So what is being done now is that corporates are picking up those silos that are their passion or what they are good at. Like for instance, Grundfos ourselves, we picked up SDG 6 and 13. 6 being water and sanitation, 13 being climate change. The Tatas have picked up one, livelihood. Like these, many corporates have picked up various SDGs and are working towards it. And if all of us pick SDGs that we are good at or we like to do, and we spread out well, I'm sure we will achieve what we need to do, or what we set out to do, or what the UN set out to do in 2015. So the agenda, which was adopted by the UN in 2015, really put this into 17. You can look at the 17. I can't per se, I know what those 17 are, but I can't read it out now. But anything that you do in CSR, whether you do it personally or through a corporate, if you are able to tag it to a specific SDG, then you will see that we are all speaking the same language and we can really measure. What you cannot measure and verify, you cannot improve. Take for instance, we deal with water. So what we said, we should be very, very careful with water consumption. And before we preach this to others, we should do it in our own factory. So we've been trying to drive down the specific water consumption, whether it be on person basis or also on per pump basis that we produce. To the extent that we were the first green rated commercial building in India in 2005. But we have continuously improved, went from a gold to a platinum rating. Why? Because do we like to see this plaque in front of us saying no? It is a way of binding yourself to a goal and making sure that you have a way of achieving it. So we started measuring every bit of water that we consumed. And we started recycling and reusing it. Mind you, we even collect all the condensate of these air conditioners that we run, and we collect the water back and we use that. We don't let out any sewage, we don't let out any grey water, we recycle everything. And when the rains come, we have 230 charge bore wells. We don't draw water, we pour water into it. That's when the rains come. So this is something that anybody can do. It's not rocket science. It's just that we took upon that this is what we need to do. So reports show that despite progress in a number of areas, I'm not talking just out of the blue, despite progress in a number of areas, we are still far behind in achieving the SDG goals by 2030. On water especially, we are behind. On livelihood, we are behind. On eradication of poverty, we are negative, especially with the impact of COVID. We have gone behind. So what has COVID done to this? It's basically a health crisis has become a human socio-economic crisis. The whole world is grappling with it without knowing what to do. We have a lot of what you call these vaccines that are coming up. We don't know how well they work. They are on a trial basis, but the progress is happening, and hopefully we will see a virus at least in the middle of next year, which can work on some of us. Until then, we have to change the way we are living, and this is a final example of this. Now everybody in masks, and like I always like this little what you call cartoon that I see. In the past, if you wear a mask and go into a bank, you're a thief. Today, if you don't wear a mask and go into a bank, you're not allowed in. You know, it's a kind of change that has come about, and this decade of action, this 2020, 2030, that's what this is all about. It's the next 10 years. What can we do to make that real change on the ground? Actually, UN calls for pledging to mobilize finance. It's calling for enhancing national implementation. It's also calling to strengthen institutions to achieve these goals so that we can achieve most of them by 2030. So accelerated efforts are very, very vital, needed to ensure that we move forward faster than we have moved till now. All of us need inspiration. We need a certain amount of creativity, not just at the individual level, but also at the local, state, country level, as well as the global level. We need the young of this country, of any country, involved. I always said, and I still maintain it, after you cross the age of 30, you're an old fuddy-duddy. Yeah, you might feel young. They say that 60 is the new youth, but no. Your brains are sort of set in a certain fashion. Changes come about because of the young, because they have no fear. They have no this yoke called experience hanging around their necks, which in a way experience is good, in a way it's not so good. So they are fearless in terms of taking on things and voicing their opinions. So we have to look at our youth, our academia, working with them, the private sector working with them, and all the stakeholders, including the government, working with them. And without concerted effort by everybody, I don't think we will be achieving much. And the transformation that COVID has shown, that we have shown some resilience in this country and many other countries for a thing that we can't see, but has created havoc. So we should learn from this. How do we reduce the risk for the future of any kind of maybe a pandemic, maybe a natural disaster, and how do we ensure that we avoid this, at least by working for the next 15, 20 years. So we will have to work at an unstoppable pace. There's no point in talking. For me, I often say this again, much to the anger of some of my fellow citizens of India. We are great in thinking, we are great in planning, we are great in putting out things. When it comes to implementation, we suck. We have no idea of how to implement on time. And that's what we need to do. It can be a small idea, it can be something, but get it implemented. We seem to have a kind of a thing where everybody points finger at the other person, and this is happening everywhere, in organizations, small organizations. That's because of I don't know what I attribute it to, but we need to get out of that mindset and say, okay, we will help each other. Mind you, the only mammal that has been given the power of thought and the power of sacrifice is a human being. Other mammals have a power of sacrifice if they're young or threatened, otherwise they run away. But the human being has these two, and we don't seem to be using it well. So at times, we have to sub-optimize an individual to optimize a collective. So we need to be very careful about that. We need to identify risks that are coming about, and it requires each of us to take action individually and collectively. And putting the collective ahead of the individual. And that's not easy to come by. Over a period of time, I think we were seeing this many, many thousands of years ago, but we have seen that change. So what is so urgent about it? I'll give you an example of water again. If we start changing our practices of water, by the time we stop deterioration, it might take another 25 years. So are we ready to wait for that long and see things going down? So how do we end extreme poverty today? Look at the way poverty is spreading. Even during COVID, the rich became richer, the poor became poorer. And that there are studies, enough studies for that. So what's going to happen if somebody loses hope? If a person loses hope, they have nothing to live for, you're going to have problems, social unrest all over. You're going to have social unrest all over. And I always say this, and I've been saying this for the last 30 years. And when it comes to India, the red flags are not going to be from Kathmandu to Khammam, it will be from Kanyakumari to Kashmir, because there is no hope. So we need to build this hope, we need to be quick about it. We need leaders who are accountable. And that is a scarce commodity. I'm not talking only political leaders, I'm talking of leaders in organizations, leaders in corporates. You got to be accountable. You got to take, the buck stops with you. So it's very important that we hold our politicians also to be accounted for what they're doing. We need to be actually charge ourselves and see if we have innovative solutions so that we can move forward in a much better fashion. Sustainable innovation is something that we need to have. We are good at innovating small patches, but how do you sustain this thinking? How do you keep going forward? That's especially in terms of, so you can innovate products, you can innovate some technology. The question of supporting SDGs is one of money. How do you financially innovate to ensure that we have enough money kept aside? So what we did, we experimented in Grundfos just before I retired. That thing is continuing, and I'm once in a while keeping a tab on it. What if we as a corporate take a part of our business now, and later on it can be the full business, and say that if my goal is to make an EBITDA or a profit of whatever you want to call it, of 20%, I will work in this sector at 5%, so that I cover my costs. And I will sort of put out products or services which directly impact the SDG in terms of, for us it is 6 and 13, if it can be anything else. We also worked with 1. What would then happen? I will really bring out a triple bottom line showing the financial and social impact on the people and the planet, and see what impact I have created in this world. If all corporates start doing it in a small fashion and slowly this builds up, you will soon find that the purpose of business will be just beyond the business of making money. And every business has to have this purpose. We need to go beyond just making money. How much time do we have? No, I'm just making sure that we got to keep time. We have never let go of that. Yeah, so this is something that we need to. So when you look at these kind of investments in terms of money, time, we also have to make space for our communities. Here we are fighting, whose God is better, whose religion is better. Even God doesn't care about all this, and we do. I don't think this concept of God, according to me, was made by man because it makes us comfortable, but it's okay, it's good. There is something beyond us which is running this whole universe, which is even beyond imagination. But having said that, imagine the politics that will be there in heaven if there are many gods. If there are 2, there are politics. If 3, there's chaos. So we need to focus on making space for our communities, especially with our young people. All this has to get meshed into one another if you really want to see CSR, and if you really want to see the next decade making some meaning for the next few generations. Quite a few of us, except for the young out here, we are all has-beens. We have lived most of our life. I can see a lot of grey hair, bald heads, all of things. We have lived most of our life. We don't need any changes. We perhaps will live, but Most of us are in love saying, okay, we had such great time. The world has changed now. It should be like the old. Why? That was good for us. It's not good for the new people. So let's make the world good for the young. And that is what is needed. So we need global action. We need to secure better leadership. I have no qualms in telling a guy like Trump was horrible for this world. He denied even climate change. You can't have leaders like that who are so sort of self-centered. We need more resources, smarter solutions, without doubt. Locally, how do we embed some of the traditional practices we had? How do we embed this? There was a lot of traditional knowledge in India when it comes to either saving water or buildings that were intrinsically energy efficient and kept things cool even in hot places. We ignored everything and moved, blindly aping the West. I'm nothing against aping the West, the good ones, but why do we give up something good that was there? So how do we bring these traditions back? How do we bring them into policies? We have a consultant here. How do we bring them into the policies? Budgets. Great policies, great thing, no budgets. What happens? Nothing can be done. Let me again tell you, I was talking to the Secretary Water Resources in Delhi a couple of days back and also last week. I said the government has fantastic plans of putting in infrastructure. You put a lot of money, but you put zero budget on maintenance. So all the money you put in 5 years is gone. And then again you start looking, why don't we start putting money on maintenance every year, year on year? So you need to maintain what you set up. We need to look at regulatory frameworks for governments, the civic and local authorities. Let's take Tamil Nadu, madam. What does a town planner or a country planner do? He is a glorious approval giver. He looks at and gives approval, so this can be done. We should train the town planners and country planners to look at 25, 30-year, 50-year plans and ensure that water bodies are not disturbed, runoffs are not disturbed, certain areas are kept aside, zoning is done right, the right factories or businesses are put up in the right places, the right crops are grown in the right places. It's a holistic approach to things. And that's what SDG and CSR is all about. You move all your CSR money towards getting this country to do better. So we've been talking to the governments, and they are also realizing that they need to have a holistic approach, especially when it comes to water. I always say that Chennai had 300 tanks, and now it's, I think, 80 tanks, and some are getting revived. And we have put all our buildings in where the runoffs are, and the water is not going to ask you permission whether I can come into your house when the floods come. You have taken my place. Sorry, it's mine. So we need to be a little more careful about. So regulatory frameworks are important. Then people as individuals, as civil society, as media, as private sectors, as unions that are there, they are quite powerful, and all other stakeholders. What are we going to do to generate a movement that cannot be stopped? And that, like they say, each drop makes an ocean, and we are all drops. So let's not think that just because we are individuals we can't do. At least around us, if you start looking at, I think a lot of young people get enthused. So this is where we need to sort of be careful about. I also already spoke about measurement and verification. There's one thing that I would like to talk about, inclusivity, before I stop. We tried an experiment 10 years ago. I was invited by a school which has autistic children and adults. And it was just a chance invite, and I was there. There was an annual day. I was just sitting talking. I heard a set of parents talking about the child who was then, I think, about 20 years old, saying in Tamil, if all of you understand, what happens to this? So it just struck me. I spoke to them. I said, let's try this out. You put your teacher there, sensitize our people in our factory. We will give 3 of these people jobs and train them and see how they work. There are 3 of them. 5 came in, 1 died because of other issues, 1 was not able to handle. There are 3 of them working today after 10 years, earning the same salary as anybody else. And you should see the video that they have made. Somewhere I've sent a link and you can have. The parents are so happy and they say they are so proud. They say the others are jealous of us, saying our kid is now working in a multinational, earning more money than their wards. So it's important that we focus on this. Now what we decided, because of this, we added a few more people. We have decided next year we are going to cordon off about 1,200 square feet in our shop floor, make it a training center. We are asking the school to bring a bus in or get a van, get 5 or 6 people, and they get trained. Some of them can get absorbed, some of them can work elsewhere. They get trained and they will work. It's a assisted workshop, and we will pay for what they produce. So it's not very difficult. And mind you, I was asking my guys, how do these people work? Autistic people, they are very focused on repetitive jobs. They are much more productive than anybody you can see. And it's amazing that they are so mainstream now. So it's just picking up something and doing what you need to do. So the last 15 years we've been focusing on water, on energy, and we said, okay, let's also focus on people, especially the underprivileged, and especially if they are mentally challenged. So it's worked well. So ultimately, what we need to do in terms of our resources, we need to manage our resources well. We need to ensure that we put in the right kind of money and effort. We should also stop conspicuous consumption. COVID has taught us that we can live with much less. I see this from every corporate I speak, every person I say, we can live with much less. We were simply having conspicuous consumption. So what can we do to reduce this? We don't throw away things, we repair things. Because we were a repair side of society, we become a throwaway society, we just go back because certain things, why do you throw it away? Because you enjoy the earth. So there are many things like this. You recycle or you sort of upcycle things. You take old things and make new things out of it. And there is an entire supermarket in Sweden, very close to the municipal recycling yard, where they pick things, and there are designers and design schools upcycling things, and people are buying it. Why do you have to buy something new? When we built our green building, I asked for recycled, and people were very upset. We don't sell used things. I said, no, I want used things. I want used furniture. I want the rubble come from a building where you're broken. If you've taken timber somewhere, I want that. I don't want to get fresh one and saying, let's do this. So that's one thing. Remake, upcycle. The other thing is the many hours that you say refuse. Reduce the consumption that you have. All the time, look at it. I just had a young fellow from IIT who showed me some new nozzles for water taps. So instead of for all the taps that you use only to wash hands, it gives a nice mist. So I bought all the nozzles and fitted up in my house. Of course, there was a lot of opposition from the maids. I said, you use your taps to wash this thing. And those nozzles have cut my water consumption down to 20% of the tap. So it's possible. So let's reduce. Then let's also remember all the time that we need to be, this goal is a moving goal post. The more we delay, the more it moves. That we need to be behind this day in and day out. You don't have to kill yourself, but little efforts, little changes that you make at home and in yourself would make a huge sort of difference. And also respect people's choices. Sometimes you become very evangelistic. That doesn't work. You can't force people into anything. You got to inspire people. So let's respect people's choices. Individually, everybody has his own choice. But if everybody slowly converges, and I'm sure we'll have a planet which is very different and much more sustainable. You know, in Grundfos, the person who created Grundfos, or who was the founder, he had only one sentence that he left behind. We would like to leave behind this planet a greener, more energized one than the one we inherited. So the entire company is working on that basis. But it's not difficult for others to work on that basis. So with this, I think I will stop. It was a pleasure coming here and speaking to all of you, and I'm sure there are others listening on too. So it's not something that is that you have to really plod and be very passionate and push things. Small steps, bite-sized chunks as they call it. If you start, putting it to your mouth or you doing, you will see that large changes can come about. Very simple to the Kaizen concept in factories. Small little changes every day. Every day. Can we do something better than we did yesterday? That's all that matters. And then you'll see the changes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thanks so much for setting the context so comprehensively so that we take on from here. We can possibly take just one or two questions. Is there anyone in the audience who's got that question slip ready? Yeah, there's one. Could you pick it up, please? You also have one odd question on social media that we will see once we finish this. Is there anyone else who wants to ask a question in this hall? Yeah, we have a couple of questions online. We can take that as well.
Hello. Can you hear? Yeah, the question is, given the fact that all CSR activities are important, would it be ideal to have an apex monitoring authority to allocate awarding to the priorities to amplify allocations where it is required the most? This again would bring it into a realm of what you call control. So while it may be good, there are already certain private agencies, including CII, which gives out CSR awards. So we could do that in MMA too, rather than have some authority, because the moment you say an authority, you will find politicians jumping in and opposing it as much what is happening with the farm laws today. I'm a son of a farmer. My father used to talk about these draconian laws which had to be removed 50 years ago. 50 years later, the laws have been removed, and today we have people fighting it. So I would say that more and more private bodies like these, associations, societies, if they come up with this to award people with good CSR efforts, it may have a better impact than having an authority, an apex monitoring body. I don't know how, maybe Dr. Sujata can sort of say what the government is thinking of. But yeah, they could also have an award, but rather than a monitoring body, because then becomes a lot of interference as to what should be done, what should not be done. So personally, I'm not for it.
Thank you, sir. We got two questions from social media, and both of them are actually relating to the corona and its effect. So the question alludes to the fact that with the pandemic causing so much of problems all over, do you think the CSR funding will get affected because of this? And how are we going to deal with this?
It is already affected. All the funds that were there, see, remember that every company has a certain budget, and the pandemic affected their business. Most companies had losses. March, April and May were a washout for most companies, and you can never recover that. So having said that, the money that they had for CSR moved towards COVID pandemic, and actually the long-term efforts they were supporting, even that suffered. There is a clear issue there. And even if when I'm talking to corporates, it's very difficult for them to fund anything now. But hopefully the recovery has started, and hopefully we'll be able to sort of get back to all those things that we were supposed to have done. There's a lot of learning that has happened during COVID. One of the learnings is that we found that the same effort was being done in the same area by many, many people. So we said we should have some way of coordinating instead of an authority, some kind of coordination where the government can say, hey, in this area only this is required. Let's not have 4 people doing the same thing. So these are some learnings that have come about, which can be used in other areas too. But it has impacted, without doubt, very, very seriously.
Right, sir. Thanks. Mr. Vasant, Resource Head Lakeview, he wants to know, assisted learning spaces, is it available for all social kids?
See, we've just started assisted, not living. Assisted living is for people who are in old age homes and things like that. We have started assisted, what you call manufacturing in terms of assisted vocation, I would say, where we have a controlled atmosphere for people like these. We have coordinators who understand them. We have a bunch of people around who are trained to handle these people, and we train them and allow them to produce, and they get paid for their produce. So they have a feeling of self-esteem that they're earning, which we have found in the few people that we have helped. Great self-esteem. They're so confident. And the best part of it is all these three every year contribute back a donation to the school that they came out of, which means it's a self-supporting kind of movement. And that's what we're trying. It's an experiment. We don't know, but we hope it works, and we hope others also follow it.
Thank you, sir. So one question to Mr. Ranganath from Muralidhar from this hall. Present decade, he says, the solid waste management has become a big problem. How can CSR help resolve this?
Who creates solid waste? You and me. If we don't want to sort of segregate it in our homes and throw it on the road, it is going to be a problem. So the first thing that we need to do is let's start in our homes. I've tried my best in my own home to have 3 bins, but to tell my maid, I said, nothing doing, you will have to segregate it. We need to sort of work at that level. I find that the new ones in Chennai, this Urbaseer Sumit, they come with segregated boxes, and they are segregating outside, which is a good move. Yes, I mean, some CSR funds can go towards that, but most people think predominantly it is the business of the municipality to do it. But like I said, we can't say that everything the government only has to do. We have to give a helping hand, because after all, we are creating the waste. If you don't create so much waste, when I said reduce, it also creates less waste. And if you are careful about it, for instance, your kitchen waste can be easily converted to manure. At home, I've seen so many people doing that. Now, why do we dump it? And it also smells. So things have to start at home, and we all have to work together.
Right, got it. So I think that brings us to the end of this first session. I think may I request President MMA, Mr. Ravichandran Purushotham, please present memento. Yeah. To Mr. N.K. Ranganath, please. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause. It's taken so much time. This morning. Thank you so much, sir. Group Captain Vijay Kumar to give the word of thanks for this session, please.
Thank you, Venkat. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, all the people who have joined us today. You have been so disciplined, maintaining a strict social thing. I see one of them not wearing mask. I think you could avoid that, wear the mask, so that you not only protect yourself, you protect others. I really appreciate your cooperation. And all the viewers watching this program safely from your place, wherever you are. I think more than 700 people are watching this program live on various social media portals. And thank you for joining this morning. And we organized this event today, CSR Decade of Action. When I spoke to, I tell you the background why we organized this. I must share with you, delighted to share with you that MMA has gone into CSR activities. Now we initiated CSR in the field of education to give scholarship, training to the teachers, training to the students, and also training to the parents, because we find in the CSR you involve the parents, the children get involved better, the teachers get involved better. At the moment the school do not know how to really involve the parents except for parent-teachers meeting, and parents really do not know how to involve with the school in terms of school education. So MMA is really designed a beautiful system how to get involved. We identified 3 schools from this part of the Chennai, government-aided schools, PSI school, Mylapore, the Swami girls' schools, Mylapore. You'll be really surprised. I was really surprised to know that almost 60% of the children's parents are single mother. So what we decided to do, some work with them to train the mothers so that they become independently and also able to do that. And one area where we really found research that the children go to the school, especially girl child, and they don't get the early marriage get avoided. So we are working quite a bit. When I was working, I understood an organization like MMA, we've done so many seminars, conclaves. I was blank when I had to implement this CSR initiative. And I started consulting people, taking a lot of opinion from so many people who had achieved excellence in this field, because we want to set an example of how the CSR should function in schools. We have selected one more school from outside, from Ranipet. What we are going to work, we put up the curriculum. Initially, we want to give scholarship to the poor children, then also train the children as well as teachers and also the parents. So that is why the idea came that why can't we do this CSR Decade of Action. And we also have another new initiative which MMA started. We are doing with Center for Social Development, Delhi, where we are bringing out a excellent manual, training manual for Sustainable Development Goal. Not for all the 15, 16 odd UN Development Goal. We are bringing it on Sustainable Development Goal in the field of education, in the field of clean water and sanitation, health and climate change. So one of the area where we also want to do, I'm going to share the questions with the people who are watching, who have come today, and also the people who matters. We are picking up the questionnaire to kindle your thought process, get some insight from you. What should the manual? If you respond to the question, I assure you the manual will reach you. That manual is going to be a real game changer in terms of training the NGOs for implementing Sustainable Development Goal in society. This is the initiative which we have taken, and that's the reason we also want to do this and reach out to as many people as possible when we send the questionnaire, because at the end of the day, the manual can come out as much as there's so much input what we get. The person who is going to design the manual, one of the finest organizations in the country. You all know Council for Social Development is the one which does quite a bit of work on SDG. So that's one of the reasons we really organize it, that you will all get the mail. Please take some time, whichever area is applicable to you, send your response to us, because it will really help us. And I can assure you, the moment manual is ready, we'll share it with you. Now coming to Ranga, what should I tell him? Ranga was my past president, MMA, and we had some wonderful time. And I can assure you that if this building has happened today, I think there's so many presidents have done so much of work in building funds and things. But Ranga was responsible for one quick action. I know that Ranga remembers that. One of the committee meetings, we have been discussing these issues. We should have a city office. We should have a city training center. People are not able to come to OMR. He's the one who said, why are you keeping this building when it's not bringing return on investment to you? Please sell this and move to city. Remember, Ranga? You are the one who put that point. And he put that point, that spark was then, we caught onto that spark, and today we are all here, and so many people are so happy to come and participate in so many events of ours. And thanks, Ranga, your thought-provoking, insightful address. I know it's going to set the context, because we got another two outstanding speakers. It's really given the context to them what they should be taking it through in their journey of two other sessions, and it's always a privilege to have you with us. Great, thank you once again, and we look forward to seeing you more MMA. And I also acknowledge the presence of Ravi Purushothaman, President MMA, is here this morning with us. And Ravi, we closely work, and one area where Ravi did a lot of hand-holding for us is getting digital transformation of MMA. You know, we never waited. The March 27th was thing, that lockdown was announced. From 28th onwards, we were online. We did all our programs since online. Number of programs we could do, and we also know we are very ready for hybrid model. I don't know how many of us seeing, you must have changed the system and sound system, multiple cameras. So what happened, hybrid system, if anybody is coming on the Zoom, we can integrate and see that everything look like live, and we are going to do, some of the best speakers are going to be coming and talking here, so we'll have a hybrid model. Thanks to Ravi for the great support, and soon we'll be launching the state-of-art website with state-of-art digital library and app. Everything will be launched in another week's time. You really love going through that, navigating through the website, because we are getting so much of information. You are going to be getting that. Ideas that COVID in a way indirectly helped MMA to transform ourselves digitally and adapt ourselves so that we can bring the best of the thing, and we are able to get the best of the speakers. In fact, this evening, you must have already got the mail, we got some 4 outstanding international speakers going to be talking to us on globalization, what's happening in 2021. Please do watch this evening at 6 o'clock. Plus, we are also having some outstanding events lined up all through the month and next month. Do watch them. We had an outstanding, again, student convention day for us today, where 21,000 students watched this program live. So what I'm trying to tell you, the power of digital is phenomenal. The reach is phenomenal. And I also to thank Dr. Sujata and also Mr. Krishnaswamy, who have been putting together and putting the whole convention, this conclave together to bring it to you. Whatever questions you have, all the viewers watching this program, anything you want to know in CSR. As I said, we all have a lot of queries in CSR. How to do, where to do, what is the CSR reporting, what is donors reporting, what is you should have internal systems and process, how you have checks and balances, accountability. It's better to ask all the questions here because we are in a small group. You will know so many answers which you want to know, you will have answers from. We have experts here, Spark Capital, Spark is one who has done some phenomenal work in the field of CSR, Krishnaswamy, and has come all the way from Coimbatore under these difficult circumstances to speak to you. Thanks so much. It's really a pleasure to have you with us. Sujata madam, I think Sujata is from government taking care of the Sustainable Development Goal Initiative. I was telling her this morning, she's one person whom when we approach, instant reply will come, so polite, so humble. So good to see you, madam, from the government, helping us so much. And I'm going to be in touch with you for this new initiative, a book which you are going to bring it out. So your input will be very, very valuable to us. Thanks to all the viewers. Thanks my MMA team, Venkat, for efficiently taking it through. I think 5 minutes we are more because we are given enough cushion for the tea time. That's why we said we can move beyond the time what is allocated. Otherwise, we are time. And COVID time, difficult time requires difficult situations, requires difficult decisions. So we can 10 minutes extra, doesn't matter. You can have a good cup of tea. Get back by about 10:45, 10:50 so that the next session we start on time. Once again, thanks so much to each one of you for being present here. And please follow the social distancing protocol because not only your health is very, very important and others' health also very important. We don't want anything to happen that where something has happened because of MMA event. We don't want to be popular that way. We want to be only share the knowledge with you, not otherwise. Thanks so much. And over to you, Venkat. Thanks each one of you for joining this morning.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for summing it up. Ladies and gentlemen, we break for a quick cup of tea. Try to be back by 10:45 as far as possible so that we can start the program on time. Thanks a lot, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks a lot. gentlemen, let's welcome Mr. Krishnaswamy with a round of applause, please. We're all set for the next session, so please sit down, sir. Shekhar? Yeah. So, Mr. Krishnaswamy is the founder and chief patron of CSR Spark. Postgraduate in mechanical engineering, retired from business on June 30th, 2016 after 32 years. Certified as a CSR professional by Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs, New Delhi, he founded CSR Spark, a platform to facilitate all stakeholders in the CSR environment to meet. Formerly a member of Rotary Club of Coimbatore West, PHF, and former president PSG Tech Alumni Association, he is a member of the Apex Committee Sirutuli. He is a member and visiting faculty at the Institute of Directors. May I now invite Mr. Krishnaswamy to address the delegates on the theme, Review of the CSR Act, Rules and Amendments.
Wait. Okay. Full screen, you will do it. We'll take care of it. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Am I audible? Clear? Okay, good. I'd like to thank Captain Kumar for giving us this opportunity to present the views on CSR and the decade of action. And when we think about the decade of action in the SDGs, the first person who came to mind was Dr. Sujata. She works for the Tamil Nadu government. They are the torchbearers for SDGs within the state. And wonderful job is being done by them. Unfortunately, nobody knows about it. Today she'll throw some light on it. And you'll get to know more about how CSR can, I think I'm standing in the wrong place, the monitor, sir, okay. So what I'll try to do is, I should thank Mr. Ranganath for having given me the perfect preamble on this subject. In certain areas where I need not touch at all, he has made his point from a generic point of view. I'll try to tell you what is the CSR law, what are the nuances over there, what is the nitty-gritty for the corporates, for the implementing agencies. Gradually, I'll move into some statistics, how the CSR environment has fared over the first 5 years of CSR. From 2014-15 up to 2018-19, for which data is available in the open domain, from where I've taken some data, and how we can take CSR forward to enhance the attainment of the SDGs. How many of you have not heard of SDGs previously? Be frank, nothing else. Whenever somebody comes to me to talk regarding CSR, some help on CSR, I ask them, have you heard about the Sustainable Development Goals? How many of you have heard about the MDGs, Millennium Development Goals? How many of you have heard about it? Very few are. Good. So SDGs themselves, they don't know. Then the MDGs, it was a precursor to the SDGs and how it goes. Now, the decade of action, Mr. Ranganath and the other speaker, they mentioned what is the decade of action. 15 years of SDGs, 5 years have gone, the remaining 10 years, the final push is given, and that's why it's mentioned 10 years to transform our world. The aim of the SDG, everything regarding the SDGs, Madam will handle, and she is the right person to talk about SDGs. I will start with the CSR. CSR, corporate social responsibility. The history of CSR, of course, Mr. Ranganath covered right from a donor point of view, from a philanthropy point of view. Now they have moved into CSR. It's a gradual move that has come across. CSR has been in vogue abroad for quite some time, and as it has been mentioned already, India is the first country to have mandated CSR. And it is basically a partnership between the corporate sector, the civil society, and the government. All three put together, that is the driving force behind CSR. It is a convergence of the government schemes and activities and the business schemes through CSR. It is fundamentally a convergence. Now, when you start a business, your aim is how much profit do I get? Your project proposal will tell you what money can be made, your projections for the next 5 years. This is what you keep talking about. And that is the ultimate aim. Why do you start a business? You have to make money, and either it's in a partnership firm or you have shareholders in a limited company. You have to pay back to the shareholders. That is the idea behind starting any business. So this has been there for quite some time. But one stage you realize you have to give something back to the society. Be a responsible person, not only as an individual, but as a corporate also you be an responsible person. Instead of just the profit has been relegated to the third place. First come the people, the planet, and the profit, the triple bottom line. And previously we were having only financial reporting. Now they have incorporated social reporting and environmental reporting into your annual reports. Long time back, when you see the annual report will only contain financial figures. Now both these have been included. Environmental reporting, where are you getting your raw materials, what are you doing with your waste, everything has to be accounted for. What is the carbon footprint, everything comes into the picture, you have to give it. And of course, social reporting, how you are dealing with the society around you, that has to be included, and ultimately building empathy into business. Now, what is it that you take from the society? When you start a business, a factory, the land holding, you convert some part of the land is being utilized, which would have earlier been an agricultural land or a free space. So you are getting into that place, and the infrastructure which the government has provided, for example, the roads, the water supply, sewage supply, everything you get, you use the infrastructure which is available from the government also. Natural resources, most of them you consume as, either you take from the natural resources in the form of water fundamentally, and also you contribute to the deterioration of the natural resources in terms of your effluent. This is what is happening. This has to be considered. And the local skills. I do a bit of agriculture near Coimbatore. Being in the industry lab, I'm very difficult to get any labor over there. Everybody has gone into the industry. Now you've taken away my labor. What are you going to give back to me? How does agriculture survive? Household course also you don't get people because they get shifted into the industry. This is happening everywhere. And the culture. Most of you will agree that when a place gets industrialized, the basic culture of that place totally changes either for the good or for the worse. When we were in engineering, we had a subject called Technology, Society, Environment. One management subject used to be there every semester. So how this industry can spoil the culture of an area that used to be there. So this also has to be taken care of. These are the areas where you take away from the industry. Now previously we were just talking about shareholders. From a shareholder model, it has become a stakeholder model now. The shareholders are only one of them. You have the employees and the value chain. Value chain is right from your supplier. You're buying raw materials or he is supplying materials to you, your service providers, and also the procurement, your sales, after sales, and ultimately end of life of the particular product. How do you take it back? Certain mobile phone stores, previously you must have seen, I don't know whether it is there now, they have a bin over there, used mobile phones, you can throw it there and go, they take it, recycle it and do it. So when you are designing itself, they call design for sustainability. Designing for sustainability is the in thing right now for any design engineer. What are the natural resources you are taking right from beginning up to the end? So the value chain is totally affected. The government is a major stakeholder for any business. It is from where they get the money to run all the social schemes. You take the GDP, the industry contributes about, industry and services, both these together they contribute around 85%, 83%, and agriculture is around 17% only now. Manufacturing is slightly lower, services have overtaken manufacturing, and these two are the major contributors. The financial institution, the person who gives you the money, the banks, they are also part of the stakeholders of the company. The environment, of course, I told you how much you hurt the environment. The civil rights groups, right for bargaining, right, you have the labor unions and all those, they are there. And finally, you should never forget the politicians. They are there in your place, elected, they are in power, they will have to retain power. Somebody is out of power, who will have to come into power. They use the businesses over there. It is, you cannot do a business without interference from the politicians. The bigger you go, the more the interference. Now, basically the CSR environment. We just call it A, B, C, D of CSR. A is the implementing agencies, B is the beneficiaries for whom the entire activity is aimed at, C are the corporates, and D are the drivers. Drivers in the sense the government, how they frame the laws, monitor everything, and of course CSR academia, a lot of people doing research on CSR, how to take it up forward, and also you have the CSR professionals like us who come after us. I just telling somebody, I don't call myself a CSR consultant. I'm a CSR professional only, that's all. I would like to be more academic, teach people what to do, what not to do. The NGOs, when they come to us, we tell them, this is what you do. Where do you get funds? Who is going to pay me? We tell them, you just go look at this particular way. I'll show you all those things. Look at this website, you'll be able to get some data. That is how we do it. And the implementing agencies, there are basically the company does it directly or its own foundation or through civil society organizations. What is the benefit of doing it directly? What is the benefit of doing through other third-party organization? When you do it directly, your workers are involved, all your employees, your staff, everybody is involved. That gives a good feeling amongst them. That's a benefit for the company. But you may not have the expertise of reaching to the actual needy person. That is where the NGOs come in place. NGOs are very good in working on the field, telling you where what is necessary. So now civil society organizations, this is where the interest will start for the NGOs who come here. What are civil society organizations? Community-based organizations, village associations, environmental groups, all of them come there, right up to not-for-profit media. But the only thing is that they should either be a trust or a society or a Section 8 company. Section 8 company, see, trust and society, you know it is a not-for-profit. Section 8 company, again, it is a registered company, not-for-profit. It should be either of these three. Should be highly compliant. That is, compliant in the sense, if you are a trust, you are answerable only to the income tax authorities. The easiest formation for this. You go into a society, the registrar of societies is there, the second agency who comes to monitor you, you have to submit reports there. Most difficult thing is the Section 8 company, you will have to be more adept in handling your recording and everything, whatever is there. So it should be compliant, and minimum 3, if you want to do CSR work, and if you are if you are a civil society organization, you should have 3 years standing, you should have your annual reports, 3 years annual reports, you are filing, and the compliance, when I say compliance, you should have had your trust or something, you should have your 12A and all those things. I am not going into detail of all those things. Try to be compliant. Whatever compliance is there, get to know from your auditor or whoever is helping you out. If you don't know anything, you can ask us in person, we can help you out. That is there. And expertise in the related field. எனக்கு பணம் வேணும், எங்கிருந்து வருதோ தெரியாது. I would have specialized in education, but when there is money available for some sanitation uses, I will do that also. That is not the way an NGO should be run. You should have your expertise. You please concentrate on what expertise you are trying to develop and do it. That is the idea behind it. Now we come to the law as such. I am making it very simple. I am not trying to dig deep into the law, the rules, or the whatever it is. Companies Act 2013, this is where CSR was introduced. Section 135, you have to read it. Section 134 also. If you want to run an NGO, if you want to run an implementing agency, or if you are a corporate, you want to do CSR obligations, you have to go through all these things. Schedule 7 will tell you what are the activities which go into the CSR. CSR rules are there. Time to time amendments come and notifications come. You have to keep a tag on all these things. If you are unable to keep a tag, please do register in our website and you can keep viewing. Whenever something happens, we keep updating over there instead of you searching everywhere. That is what we do. So the crux of CSR. Any company with a turnover of 1,000 crores, a net worth of 500 crores or 5 crores profit, they come, and that is the threshold limit for entry into CSR. The CSR spend 2% average net profit of the immediately 3 preceding years. Very simple. It is the duty of your company secretary to find out everything and do it. This is from the corporate point of view. Now CSR is a board level activity. CSR, you cannot, somebody right down the line, you create a department and somebody is working under it. It's not like that. It has to be done by the board. Board is responsible to do all these things. Once you reach the threshold limit, I'll be flipping from the top square to the bottom one. You have to constitute a CSR committee. That is what the board has to do. The board should comprise minimum of 3 or more directors. The composition should be mentioned in the annual report as far, I think it has to be there in your website also, and should include at least 1 independent director. If you don't have if there are only I know these questions will come. If there are only 2 directors, what you do? You do it with the 2 directors. Only 2 directors will be the CSR committee. That's all. And should include 1 independent director. If the law, the Companies Act doesn't necessitate that you should have an independent director. Your CSR committee can be without an independent director. That is one thing, very clear. And You have to formulate the CSR policy in line with Schedule 7. Schedule 7 I will be explaining later, and also recommend the amount to be spent. Then you go above, the board has to approve the policy, display in its website, and also report it. Then you come down again, monitor and implementing is again the part of the CSR committee. And again you go up, ensure that the recommended activities are undertaken, and reporting. Everything goes to the board, not to the CSR committee. So, and one more, the CSR committee is part of the board. So the entire thing is the board has to do it. Nobody else is held responsible for this. Nobody down the line is responsible. Only the board members are responsible for this. Now, gist of Schedule 7. Schedule 7 gives you what are the activities that you can do under CSR. This is available in the net. I have not given the entire explanation. I have just taken a gist of all these things. Right up to COVID-19, the latest amendment, everything is there. You can, everything is there. All the points you can take. And you can see the last but one line, can be interpreted liberally. Supposing what activity which you are doing doesn't come under these Schedule 7, you can interpret liberally, understanding fully well the intent of the law. What is the intent of the law? To give back to the society. So you keep the law in mind, the intent of law in mind, and you can interpret it accordingly. It will be accepted. One thing is missing here, and a direct reference, agriculture. I don't know how they missed it out. And one more thing, I told you these SDGs are from 2000 onwards, 2015 onwards. Between 2000 and 2015, we had the MDGs. So when the CSR law came into place, it was all based on the MDGs, not on the SDGs. The number of goals are much lesser in the MDGs, and most of the MDGs are fully covered, whereas SDG 2 also inculcates sustainable agriculture under hunger. So that has not been, that does not reflect anywhere over here. So it is time that the government takes effort in trying to add agriculture into this. And finally, there is a link over there. If you click it, can you do it there? Excuse me? Can you click the link over there? Bottom lower link. Anybody? Or I have to do it here? If you can do it. In the link, click panna mudiyuma anga edachu. Network link. See, that link will give you all the updates in Schedule 7, whatever is happening from the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Huh? Audio. Just a file. Control. Yes. Or leave it. Can you see this? This is in the Ministry of Corporate's website, Corporate Affairs website. You can go to it and keep updating yourself on the, I don't know, it may not be very clear for people at the back, but you know where the link is, and this is what it is. Can you come back? I'm just telling you where to find what, rather than trying to explain each and everything. Now the SDGs. See, either why this comes here is, this is Schedule 7, what are all the activities over there. To interpret liberally, you can use the SDGs. What is this VNR? What is the decade of action? State, district, SDG cells? All these things will be explained by Madam. She will take care. As far as the last line you see, the MDGs were based on international agencies and the governments. All the government schemes are aimed towards the SDGs. Recently, with the SDGs, they have added the business also into it. Previously, it was only international agencies and governments, but now the business has come into it. Supposing you don't spend it, how many corporates are here? Anybody from the corporate side? Very few. Okay. This is an important change which they have come across. The implementing agencies also should know what is happening to the unspent amount. First, you have to explain why you have not spent. See, the general reason is we are not able to find a good implementing agency. We are not able to find a good project. We don't know where to go. That is the regular thing which happens. Now, if there is no ongoing project, so see, a project can be for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. If there is, so naturally, it has to be, money has to be spread over 3 years. So once you get the project on paper, you allocate the money. What happens? They can keep it in a. If there is no ongoing, they can keep. I'll go to the second point. They transfer the amount to a CSR account, unspent CSR account for that particular year. Every year you may have to start a separate unspent CSR account. Or if you are having it in the same account, you will have to do the partitioning properly for each year. Now, if there is no ongoing project, it has to be specified to the, it will be transferred to the specified funds within 6 months. You just note all the timelines. Timelines are very critical for corporates. And there are ongoing projects. Transfer it to a separate account and spend it over the next 3 years. In spite of that, you are not able to spend it after 3 years. You have to send it to the funds, specified funds. By transferring to the specified funds means you are just writing a check to that particular government fund and giving it to the government. And the recent amendment is excess spend. Supposing you do more than 2%. This is a very, this September this has come into play. Excess spend can be adjusted in succeeding years. All these questions were there. Now the specified funds. Everything is there. Prime Minister's National Relief Fund, the fund set up by the more detail you can find it in Schedule 7. Right up to PM CARES Fund. These are the excess funds. The recent amendments in this is on September 28th, it has come into action. Companies which have a spending obligation not exceeding 50 lakhs need not constitute a CSR committee, bringing down the burden of such companies. Unnecessarily creating a CSR committee, so the board itself can handle CSR directly. Second one is a very important one. Previously, last May 2019, there was one amendment which came into force, which brought in criminal charges leading to arrest of those people who are not doing the CSR activity. See, all the corporates were up in arms and it was kept in abeyance. This year they have cleared it, made it very clear as you can transfer it like what I told you previously. You can unspent amount can be transferred, and all. But the penalties are there. Very huge penalties are there. You can read it. I don't want to keep reading what is there on the screen. And the third one is where companies. This is what I told you in the previous slide. The excess amount can be adjusted in the forthcoming years. This is what is happening. Now, the important terms in CSR for implementing agencies. Some are students, most of you are from the implementing agencies side. Beneficiaries are the basics. That is one thing. You have to do a baseline study, need assessment, project proposal, convergence in the sense how your activities are going to converge with the social intervention of the government. You try to always converge with the government activities. You should add value to it. Shared value is amongst the between the corporate, within the corporate, shared value, and with the stakeholders. And the implementation has to be proper, monitoring. These are just terms which I put over there. Each one you can talk about 1 hour on each of these terms. So these are the words that you have to be thorough with, and every project has to have an exit strategy. Bear it in mind. You cannot be running behind that project throughout the, supposing you are doing some work in a village, you cannot go live in that village permanently. You should have good beneficiaries. These things I will come later again. In another slide I will be talking about this. So exit strategy is very, very important for any project. Don't try to cling on to one area and keep doing that. You try to spread your wings elsewhere. And sustainability of the project. I think Mr. Ranganathan touched upon it, and later over tea also he was telling through CAA they did a lake restoration. After some time everything went to dogs. Unless the beneficiaries are there, it should be somebody's baby. Don't do a project. If you don't have good beneficiaries, please don't do a project. Somebody to sustain the project. Be careful. If you, at one stage, these are going to become very, very mandatory from the government point of view itself. Any project, the beneficiary group should be identified and they should be put in place. Sustainability is what I have told you, and the government's aspect is replicate and scale up. Supposing government is happy with the way things are happening in the CSR, whatever interventions you have done, government has the capacity to scale it up, replicate and scale it up. That is the government's activity. Or you yourself see some other NGO doing a job, it's a good job, you can replicate it and scale up and do it. Nothing wrong. Adapting somebody else's deeds is nothing wrong in life. Now what is not CSR? Implementing agencies should be thorough with this. That which is not rupee measurable. You cannot say so many people have worked on this, so many man hours have been spent, and so this is our CSR. Our employees have participated, 50 employees have participated. That doesn't mean CSR. You will have to give value for whatever is done. It has to benefit the poor and backward. See, activities that benefit only the employees of the companies and the families, it is never CSR. But recent amendment of the rules has come. It has not yet been, because of COVID, it is last May it came out. The rules are being amended, where 25% of the employees can be benefited out of a project. That is coming in. So once it comes in, we will notify you. If it is part of the core business of the company, no. Marathons, awards, charitable contributions, advertisements, sponsorship, none of these. You take a school and you are going to give just scholarship, it is not CSR. Bear it in mind. I am going to give scholarship to 50 students. It is not CSR. It is a one-time philanthropy donation. Be careful. It will not be considered as CSR. And everything has to be in a project mode. If you are doing a CSR project, you should have a starting date, ending date. Ending date is where you call exit strategy. You get out of the project, that is the end date. You cannot be sitting over it. And contribution, of course, the political party contributions don't account for CSR. Parties are eligible to take money from the corporates, but you cannot cover it under CSR. Bottlenecks in CSR. Weak implementing agencies. There are thousands of NGOs registered with the government, not registered with the government, whatever it is. Very poor track record they have. They don't know what is compliance, and their capacity is very low. See, they would be doing only about 10 lakhs per annum. They will try to pitch in for a project which is 1 crore. That is what capacity is most important. Lot of NGOs have this problem. Identification of project. I told you the location, the beneficiaries, and the exit strategy. This has to come with the projects. Getting government approvals. Now, if you are going to do in a particular school, you want to go to do it in a government-aided school, you have to get the permission of the CEO, Chief Educational Officer of that area. If not, you are not allowed into the campus. Previously, they were allowing freely, but after certain issues, incidents, they have stopped it also. They don't allow you to go into the school. Similarly, if you want to do a tank desilting, you have to go to the DRDA or the district collectorate and get the approval. Without that, you cannot do it. And in CSR, the sector-wise and geographical inequity, huge inequity is there. I will be showing some slides, figures on that. Quite interesting. Transparency and availability of the funds. None of the corporate is ready to put it on his website that this is my CSR budget for this year, this is what I have spent, now this is my CSR policy. I am ready to consider any NGO who comes under this category. I am ready to entertain you, please come. The transparency is never there. None of the corporates give you that. And of course, the trust deficit. Trust deficit between the corporate and the implementing agency, between the implementing agency and the beneficiary, everywhere, between the corporate and the beneficiary. இவன் எதுக்கு இங்கே வந்து செய்கிறாங்க எங்கள் ஊரில் எது ஆதாயம் இருக்கா இந்த கார்பரேட் எதுக்கு வர்றாங்க why is this NGO coming, how much money is he making, that is how the beneficiary thinks. And the NGO is not happy with the corporate. Definitely when they are giving you money, they are going to scrutinize you. Please bear it in mind, once you get the money, you are liable as an NGO. Till you get the money, you are scouting for money. Once you get the money, that is where your liability begins, your responsibility begins. The relevant sections in the Income Tax Act also have to be read by all the NGOs. You can never say, I don't know, sir. Ignorance is not accepted under any law. Please be thorough with the IT aspect also. So the trust deficit is very, very common, and unless you overcome that, it's going to be very difficult. You might be a small NGO, but people will trust you, keep giving you money. I know small NGOs which are doing a lot of work, whereas large NGOs, they're sitting quiet. Because of the previous track record, whatever the comments in the industry, they are not getting money. Here, traits of a good implementing agency. Should have been formed voluntarily and for a not-for-profit, should be independent of government and politics, religion, caste, should be really organized, compliant, more corporate-like. Normally, there's the one gentleman was formed the CSR law, Dr. Bhaskar Chatterjee. He talks about corporatization of NGOs. An NGO should be like a corporate. You can no more try to say, I'm a single-man person now. That is not there for your CSR activities. Only then you can work parallel with the corporates. You should have a feeling of how the corporate sector works. What are they ask? Say, I volunteer for an NGO in Coimbatore called Sirutuli for water body restoration. Since I am used to the CSR field, when we give a report to the corporates, they immediately say, okay, no questions asked, everything is there. What is the project flow? What is the outcome of the project? What is the impact of the project? How are you going to monitor the project? How are you going to exit from the project? Everything should be there in the report. The report writing is very, very critical. We still have certain NGOs who say, sir, எனக்கு தமிழ் தான் தெரியும், எனக்கு தமிழ் எழுதி கொடுங்க, நீங்க என்ன பண்ண போறீங்க தமிழ் எழுதி கொடுங்க. I will transfer it into English and give you. Don't worry, we will translate. If you need any help in all those aspects, how your report writing, you want it to be vetted, just check it and give me whether it is right or not. We are ready to do it. And for information, CSR Spark comes free for everything. We are not charging any money to anybody right now. It is more of a social. I have Mr. Shivakumar is there, one of our patrons. Kindly Shivakumar. He is also helping me out in all those things. So just go through our patron list also. Most of them are my engineering classmates or people who volunteer with me in the NGO. That's all. I have not brought in very big people over there. So my engineering classmates and people who volunteer with me with the NGO. And we have one chartered accountant for any help in that regard. So anything for the NGO, for the implementing agency, we are ready to help you out. Please do come to us. And you can visit unless you register in the website, you will not be able to see certain details. We will also have a tracker this event also I have sent a mail to whoever has registered in the website, I've sent a mail asking them to either view from their home itself or attend personally. Anybody who was registered in CSR Spark this year? A few of them are there, but most of them, yes, Vijay Kumar is there. Now, how will CSR help the corporate sector? It helps you in becoming a responsible corporate citizen. Stakeholder satisfaction, that is the shared value. All these you have it in mind when you're writing your project report as an NGO, as an implementing agency. You see how far you can help in all these things. You need to know only the project, you should know how to write the report also. How you are helping in the shared value, how are you helping them in increasing their brand reputation, customer loyalty. Somebody is happy with your CSR work you are doing over and over again, they will never go out of you. Your customers will be there. Your staff will be very happy, they will stick to you. They are working in the company not just for the salary, but for their satisfaction. Otherwise, individually they may not be able to do certain things because he will be living in the proximity. He will tell you what are the requirements in the proximity. He will be a brand ambassador for your company in that society. It is a very big plus point for him. Then of course the shareholders, the banks are happy, the financial institutions over there, the shareholders are happy. They will give you more and more money as and when you keep asking for money, more share, more money, you are getting money from the financial institutions. Risk mitigation. Your company can get closed down due to, take a case of Sterlite. Simple. See, by engaging in CSR in that area, you are very close to the society. Any problem, it will come first to you before they go in for an agitation or anything. So risk mitigation, a very important factor. Of course, the resilience of the company is better, the sustainability of the company is better. These are all for the corporates. Now we'll get it into figures. All these I have taken from the website over there mentioned below. Please do visit this website. It is the National CSR portal. All the details are there. You get the national level, the state-wise, district-wise, everything. If you are from Chennai, you go click the chat. I've taken out the data and put it here. See, the total national spend till date has been, till 18-19 has been around 71,000 crores. It is not a small amount. Out of that, Tamil Nadu has got 3,174 crores. That is about 4.45% of that. I'm just reading the last line, nothing else. Others you can read for yourself. I have taken the total national spend, total number of companies which are, see, it's gradually increasing over the years. The spend has been increasing, but for a dip in 17-18, it has been gradually increasing. And percentage spend in the sense, the top 20 companies, what percentage they are spending, about 33-34% is being done by the top 20 companies, the national level. If you are able to get CSR funding from any one of these fellows, then naturally you are going to sustain your activities throughout your lifetime. You need real good talent to get into the top 20 companies. Do you want to know what are the top 20 companies? Go to this website, click the top 20 companies, this will drop down. Everything is available in open space. And each company in your neighborhood, you can go into the website, each company in your neighborhood, what are the activities they are giving money for, what is their annual spend, everything is there in the website. Everything is an open domain. You need not go search for it. This is the most important website if you want to, regarding CSR. And the government has facilitated this. As far as Tamil Nadu, you can see 4.45% of the national spend on an overall basis. Now, development sector wise, which are the sectors getting more money every year? Generally, there's a feeling that no, sir, there are government funds, people simply write a check and give it to the government funds. You see the percentage over there? Very low. Most of the corporates are doing CSR on the ground. So the opportunities for the implementing agencies are very large, and You have to keep in tag with them, keep moving with them under all these things. Again, one more thing you see, agriculture is nowhere over there. Probably if agriculture had been included and the corporates have been going into agriculture support, this agitation could have been avoided, I think. The government should have taken the corporate sector help to help the agriculturists. Cold storages can be put up by agriculturists. But you can put cold storage and bring it into any one of the Schedule 7 activities, or you can bring it into one of the Sustainable Development Goals. But it is not mentioned explicitly in the Schedule 7. That is why people are not taking into agricultural activities. That is one thing which is missing. But all these data I have taken from the single site only, and I have put it across. Now, generally there is a feeling Maharashtra is getting so much money, Tamil Nadu is getting so much money, I am not getting money. The CSR spend will be proportional to your state GDP. You cannot expect to get more money than Tamil Nadu, cannot expect to get more money than Maharashtra. You see their GDP 26.57 lakh crores, whereas Tamil Nadu 16.64. They are second largest economy. Naturally, our outlay is proportionately, it may not be proportionately less. Now, taking a percentage between these things, I have just put it to create some interest, nothing else. You see the last line, national thing, the total GDP is 193.91 crores. Only 1 year I have taken. The next year could have been good, could have been bad, that is them. But just for reference, how to take this, it is about 0.06% of the GDP comes in as CSR funds. Maharashtra has been doing exceptionally well, they are getting 0.11%. Tamil Nadu is just on the border, 0.05%. Where I marked in red, these are not doing well. It is time they improve, get their act together and try to get the money out. They are sleeping. They don't have good implementing agencies, or something is happening wrong over there. It has to be done. Tamil Nadu has got still a chance to go one step further, reach the 0.06 of the national level. You can bring it more. Now, why I went into CSR is, I retired from business, everything, and started volunteering at the NGO. We couldn't get money from anywhere. So it's a CSR, why don't we try that? Only then I came to know about CSR. My 15,000 crores annually is coming out. Why don't I get 100 crores for Coimbatore? Maybe a few 5 crores for the NGO. Even that NGO which I work, supposing we get 10 crores in a year, we cannot manage it. It's very difficult. Managing funds, getting the work done, giving the reporting, you have to naturally build your capacity, your staff-wise, everything. So be careful where you put your foot. So that is how I got into the CSR, did my CSR professional course, got certified by Ministry of Corporate Affairs. And after that, I thought you should not keep quiet. When I caught hold of Shivkumar and a lot of my classmates, why don't you start a portal like this? So CSR Spark doesn't have a bank account even, no registration, nothing. It is just a portal. We come out to help you. Anytime you feel free to write to us. So this is the state of affairs. You can improve on all these things up to 0.11%. Now, how to get, I told you what was CSR, and up to the previous slide it was how we are faring. Now, what is the opportunity to improve? Who is to contribute to improve CSR in our region? The existing infrastructure we just discussed, Panchayati Raj system. How many people have heard of this Gram Sabha meetings happening 4 times a year? Has anybody participated in a Gram Sabha meeting? Good. At least one person, some of them have participated in Gram Sabha meetings. This is the root for our democracy, a Gram Sabha meeting. It is from where you get the requirement from the people of that community within that Gram. There are 4 Gram Sabha meetings, all on holidays, January 26th, May 1st, August 15th, October 2nd. Very easy to remember these dates. Every quarter you have one Gram Sabha meeting happening. Then NGO Darpan. How many have registered with NGO Darpan? Anybody who was registered with NGO Darpan so far, NGOs? 1%. How many are implementing agencies here, NGOs? Very few. Okay, good. So you have to register with NGO Darpan. NGO Darpan is the interface between the NGOs and the government departments. If you want to see, government spending is there for NGOs. Through NGOs, they are trying to implement some social programs. About 23 government departments are participating in this NGO Darpan program. Once you register, you take your unique identification number. Only then you are eligible to get those funds. The third one is Aspirational Districts program, which comes under Madam also. She is the one from, it comes under NITSI. NGO Darpan comes under Niti Aayog. Aspirational District programs comes under Niti Aayog. And the last one, the state and district SDG cells, they also come under Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog, they are the torchbearers for the Sustainable Development Goals as far as the country is concerned. And the aspirational districts, 124 districts were selected throughout the country, which are really backward. And the government is putting special effort to bring up those districts. Out of that, the total CSR spend in the aspirational districts is 304.5 crores. That itself is less. As percentage of the national spend, it is only 1.63% in the aspirational districts. That has to be improved. Number of aspirational districts with zero spend. Government, see, this is where the correlation between CSR and government does not exist. The government wants to improve those districts, but CSR is not playing any part over there, zero. And with below 100 lakhs and between 100 and 500 lakhs, only 11 districts have got more than 500 lakhs. In Tamil Nadu, we have two, Ramanathapuram and Virudhunagar. I don't know, Virudhunagar under what category they made it an aspirational district. But, I don't understand that. Even there you see, the Tamil Nadu spend is 823 crores, whereas Ramanathapuram has got only 1.13 crores, only 2 companies participating there. CSR is practically nil over there. If CSR gets into it, the aspirational districts program also will get a thrust. That is one thing. Whereas Virudhunagar, 7.03 crores with 17 companies participating. All these have to improve. So the existing infrastructure is the Panchayat Raj system, the NGO Darpan and the SDG cells. Now, this is one slide. Every line of it we will read. Now, how to bring about a real change in improving the attainment of the SDGs through CSR. What will be the correlation? Again, I have gone back to the same figure. The beneficiaries are there, the corporates are there, the implementing agency is there, the district administration is there. Now, you will start with the beneficiaries. First of all, as a responsible citizen of that particular village, you have to attend the Gram Sabhas. Unless you go there, you cannot make your voice heard. And Gram Sabhas, mind you, very powerful place. The district administration has to record everything and everything. So immediately you are voicing your request to the government. Attend the Gram Sabhas. Implementing the implementing agencies, IAS I have mentioned, implementing agencies to submit the proposal to the district SDG cell. SDG cell is there in all the districts. So if this can be done, I am just giving you a proposal, nothing else. If this can, so once then support the partnering corporates and implementing agencies. When they come to do the work in your village, go behind them, support them, give them enough strength. The beneficiary support over there. Participate in execution and monitoring. So this trust deficit will go. If you are participating in the executing and monitoring activities, naturally there will be zero trust deficit between the beneficiary and the implementing agency and the corporate. And it is your baby, you have to ensure sustainability as far as the beneficiary is concerned. The implementing agencies, you have to obtain a unique ID from NGO Darpan, and mind you, declare which SDG you are working for. There are 17 goals. 17th goal is naturally when you are in CSR, it is partnership. So your other 16 goals you have to say where you are working for. you tag your NGO with that particular SDG. Mr. Ranganath was also mentioning your activities should match the SDG. Tag it. Then you attend the Gram Sabha meeting as an implementing agency, get to know the people over there, get to know what are all they require, submit, then you have to submit the proposal to the SDG cell, partner with the corporates, implement, report, and finally exit. Get out of the place. Don't be sticking there. That is one thing. Next you come to the corporates. Declare the SDGs your CSR policy is aimed at. You have a CSR policy. In the CSR policy below you label the SDGs. What are all the SDGs I am working for? So when the implementing agency sees your report, he is able to identify, I have got some work over here, I am going to work with this corporate. Or when the corporate sees your implementing agency, he is again ready. I think I am delaying too much. Okay. And attend the Gram Sabha meetings optional, identify the IAs with proposals submitted to the SDG cell, partner with the implementing agency, implement, monitor, report, and exit. Get out. This is what the corporates have to do. The district administration has a huge work to do. Build capacity at the SDG cell, create online registration for corporates and IAs. Then record reports from Gram Sabhas. Create database of projects. So corporate wants, he can come here, select the project. And implementing agency wants, he can come there and select a project. Approve the partnerships, grant permissions, single window clearance for all the projects. That is one thing. Match reporting the SDG to the reporting to the SDG dashboard, which he will explain. Reward good partnerships, blacklist defaulters, be very stern. You go to NGO Darpan site, you can find out there is a mention of the blacklisted NGOs. Be careful that your name doesn't come there. That is one thing. Replicate and scale up, that has to be done by the government. This is the suggestion being given by CSR Spark, and I hope certain things are taken up, but I don't have the lobbying power to go and give it to the government. Hopefully when I get a chance, I will try to do it. Till then we'll be going through it. And any questions on this, I will answer after Madam takes over, finishes off. And of course, all this has come from great father of the nation. You have a lot of money, huge amount of money you have. What is necessary for you is yours. What is excess, you are only a trustee for that money. Simple, that is the meaning. You have to give it to the people concerned. So thank you very much for your patient hearing. And I hope that once Madam finishes, I will start with the thing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. I think you've very comprehensively covered all the policies, the SDGs and all that. May I now request Dr. Sujata to come onto the stage, please. Dr. Sujata is the SDG Associate, Government of Tamil Nadu, Honorary Director, Karuppa Institute of Development Initiative, KIDI. She is a doctorate in economics from social emphasis on women's empowerment, with special emphasis on women empowerment. Until recently, she has been working as a consultant with the State Planning Commission, Government of Tamil Nadu, for preparing the 12th 5-year plan. She worked with UNICEF Mumbai and Chennai as a consultant, and she has several publications to her name in the social development field. She has nearly 30 years of working in the development sector, in corporate, government and NGO sectors, and community-based organizations. May I now request Dr. Sujata to deliver her address on the theme, Review of SDGs, the Decade of Action, and Opportunities for Leveraging CSR Activities.
Thank you. After listening to Mr. Krishna Swamy, I find that taking on SDGs is going to be a big challenge. But I think I will make this attempt to present SDGs for the corporate sector, because the corporates are working in a lot of SDGs as part of their CSR. And I think this is an opportunity for you to realign CSR to SDGs. And to know what is being done at the national level, the state level on SDGs, and how you can partner with the government on various other initiatives, with the departments you're working with, and with your area of expertise. So that is the thing. I have great pleasure in being here, and I thank the organizers for inviting me, because I have worked more with the corporate sector than the government, and equally sometimes with both the government and thing. And I was, working with TVS Electronics for their corporate social responsibility for quite a long year, more than 10, 11 years. So I understand the CSR much better, even though I am now presently engaged with the government for dealing with the SDGs as SDG associate. So 2020 is supposed to usher in the start of the decade of action, and then Corona happened. So, the decade starts off with a bad start, and we are in a position that whatever has been achieved in the 5 years, now we are forced to push back some of the things. We are forced to look at different way of aligning and working towards different partnerships, so that we are able to reach a new normal, which is much more sustainable and better, and we leave us better off and leave us in a more sustainable solution to the whole thing. So let me start my presentation. So SDGs CSR is a partnership for transformation, and let me go ahead with what all we have been doing so far on SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. If you look at MDGs, the Millennium Development Goals that were happening before 2015, 12, and around 14, the Millennium Development Goals were thing. It was mostly guided by the government. It was something for the governments to achieve. We really did not have much say in how to go about it and what we had to do, and you would see that all the goals were for government action. Whether they could have the infant mortality rate, whether they could bring maternal mortality ratio to this level, and all those were mandates for the government. But now SDG is not like that. SDGs is requiring action from different players. So that in itself is a change from MDGs to thing. Government as a sole player has now taken a backseat, has involved the others into the action play, and we have even individual action contributing to the overall SDG goals, the acquiring of this. And basically, if you look at it, it's concentrated around the 5 P's we look at. The people. The people are the different people who are involved, the communities, the local areas that we are working, those are all part of the people. The planet, it's a sustainable earth. The whole universe is part of this whole package of sustainable development goals. Then prosperity. That's where our profits and how we would like to aspire for a better life, our aspirations, all that come, and we expect that economic growth, the trajectory of prosperity moves, and our country moves from this position to this position. Our GDP moves from this place to this place. Those are aspirational goals, and we would like to be included that. We have included that in the SDGs, and we would hope that the country achieves best. We move from the developing nations to the developed nations. And Tamil Nadu has had set its benchmark at equally on par with the Southeast Asian countries. If you look at the Vision 2023 statement, this clearly says that Tamil Nadu will reach a targets equivalent to the Southeast Asian tigers. And also the human development indicators, it will reach on par with the other developed countries. So that is the benchmark. It's stating for itself. The SDG allows you to set a benchmark for yourself. That's one particular advantage. MDGs allowed and gave you targets, but here it allows you to look at improving your own indicators. What is there? What is at present there? How we can improve on it? Then, when you look at prosperity, we look at peace. So, it is not islands of excellence. It's not islands of excellence and islands of development, but peaceful coexistence with nature, with people. Don't you bridge the inequalities in such a way that the development is more inclusive, more equity-oriented and egalitarian in nature. Then partnerships. As I said earlier, this is not government alone doing it, but it is in combination with committed individuals, committed people to a cause, and also with the corporates who are willing to spend, and with any other NGOs who are committed to a particular goal. So these are basically the MDGs and SDGs and the 5 Ps. So September 25th, 2015, these goals were adopted, and we would see that this is a partnership and a new sustainable development plan was evolved. We have 17 SDGs and we have associated 169 targets. Each goal has a target and which we are aspiring to achieve. Why should we do SDGs at all? Is it under our gambit? Why should we be part of this? We need to end poverty and hunger everywhere. We cannot have prosperity amidst, we not have a iniquitous situation. So we need to end poverty and hunger everywhere. Build peaceful societies. That is part of the mandate of a peaceful planet, the earth. To protect human rights. We cannot allow for violation of human rights and promote gender equality. This is a critical component because as long as women are not part of the development mainstream, we are actually foregoing 50% of the potential to reach the increase in the GDP. Empowerment of women and girls and ensure lasting protection of the planet and its natural resources. We often find that as development happens, we lose a lot of our natural resources. The flora and fauna are becoming endangered and a great condition of sustainable economic growth. That is why we should do SDGs. And what is the agenda? What is the agenda for this? So it is from 2016 to 2030, and because nothing seemed to be happening in the 4 years, 2019 they said from 2020 let's go on this spree and make it to a decade of action. Let everyone align to these goals and targets and indicators, and let's move forward. And then we had the 17 goals, 169 thing, and the 230 indicators. And basically, it says no one is to be left behind. This is the guiding principle of the SDGs. You don't leave anyone out. Not one particular section of the society has to be left out, whether it's the marginalized communities, the vulnerable tribal groups, or even if there are poor people with socio-economically we do not leave them out. They are part of the development plan. We bring them into the fold. And they are universal in nature. And the 5 Ps, as I've been speaking about, the people, the planet, the prosperity, peace, and partnership. Everywhere there is a partnership. We are not at cross purposes. We work together. Whether the NGOs are there, the government is there, the corporates are there, we work together. See that ultimately we address the SDGs, the targets, and the indicators. So just to have a snapshot, what are the people? What are the goals addressing that? The first 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, as we go down, I'll be explaining what the goals are mean. But if you look at it, all the 17 goals are distributed among the 5 Ps. So we would see that looking at these, attaining of these goals, we will have the sustainable development achieved that is more in consonance with the 5 Ps. So these are the 17 goals. The first, end poverty. Second, zero hunger. Good health and well-being, which is now the goal in action. With the pandemic on, everybody is looking at the goal 3. But yet it has affected goal 1. We feel that goal 3 is very important, but goal 3 has actually impacted goal 1. We are finding more and more people out of jobs. We are finding people who are not able to sustain themselves. Migrants have returned to their home state. Industries have lost skilled labor because they have trained a lot of people, but due to the situation and for not able to manage during the lockdown, they have gone back. How do we retrain? These are issues that the industry and the corporate sector is facing now. And the fourth, the quality of education. Incidentally, there's one goal that was set to be achieved in 2020 that has to do with NEET, not the medical examination, which is often a cause of protest. But this NEET says not in education, employment or training. We are supposed to reduce it as much as possible. Any person should either be in the education or in employment or in skill training. You cannot have people who are nowhere else. It is then better for the economy, for the prosperity of the nation. So, we were supposed to eliminate by 2020, as per the SDG UN mandate, we have to supposed to eliminate and bring it to reduce it as much as possible. But unfortunately, due to corona, this is actually not looking achievable. Not in education, employment or training. This is one critical engagement that the countries were supposed to work on. But now it has taken a back seat because of the pandemic. Then the fifth, the gender equality. When you speak about gender equality, the representation in different bodies. Even in this meeting, I see very few women here. A lot of women are missing. Unreported cases of violence. Underrepresentation in various bodies. Do we make a constant and a conscious effort to include the women? Women always have an additional responsibility as a caregiver. An unwritten code that women have to take care of the family, manage the household. And it is entirely up to the initiative and the entire, people who have gone beyond the call of them to come to the public space and work beyond their families for a public or a social cause. We should be actually encouraging them because they are carrying a triple burden, double burden, and I really do not know what are the roles they manage. So the multitasking job of the women is actually taken for granted. Do we give women the space and representation in different bodies? Say that this seat is reserved for a woman. So that would make a lot of difference. Then sixth is clean water and sanitation. Water, we are in a state, actually it is water-starved state. It's like we have every time the rains fail, we are in a scarce situation, we are always calling out, we'll run out of water and like all the gory stories, and I think we even had water being transported, we had the water trains. But every year we do have surplus amount of rains, but still we are not able to recharge water things. What are we doing enough? Are we doing enough? The sanitation component is another story. We have created now toilets. We have people with having household toilets, but still we find them going out in the open. Where is the behavior change thing? We think we have given them toilets, that means the thing is taken. What is the behavior change communication is successful? Are we able to change a generation to stop using the open spaces for as toilets? That makes a difference. And seventh, the energy, clean and green energy. The energy is now more towards renewable sources of energy, the solar, the wind. And particularly in a state like Tamil Nadu, we could harness a lot of solar energy. Whether our energy requirements can be met, the industry's requirements, the community, the local community's requirements could be met by the renewable sources of energy. And what is it we could do for the state in terms of that? And then this is with regard to decent work and economic growth. So most of you are working in this sector. You are working, the corporates work in creating jobs, creating economic opportunities for people. So are you creating inclusive? Are you able to include the differently abled, those people? Those are the type of things you will have to look at when you look at the challenges remain there. And then the next is the infrastructure, industry, and the infrastructure and industry and innovation. It's a very critical thing, innovation. Most of you are very good in adopting technologies to suit your industries. Whether we could look for solutions for the community also in a similar way. What you have adopted as an industry could be actually localize it. SDGs is about localization. What you as an industry have gained insight to, you could localize to the local communities that are there, out there. You are located in between a community, placed in a community. Could we localize it? That is one aspect we can look at. Then go on to reduce inequalities. This reduced inequalities is, as I've been saying, this is very, very critical. You have people from the marginalized communities, the differently able, the people with different sexual preferences, the lesbian, the gay communities, and how we are able to mainstream them, whether we are providing employment opportunities for them, and whether we can reduce the inequalities in them. That would be part of the reduced inequalities. And the 11th is sustainable cities and communities. Here is where your culture, the cities thing, and the tourism component, and how clean you can maintain, all those things are coming into play. And you would be looking at your system, the corporate sector, as a microcosm of a large macrocosm of the city, and how the different forces are interplaying, and how you can improve upon the locality in which you are situated. And then the next is the responsible consumption and production. Earlier it was sustainable, then they changed it over to responsible, because it would be very difficult to define sustainable consumption or production. But we could say responsible, because in that case we can look at maybe reduction of food waste, having, maintaining, extended producer responsibilities, managing waste, liquid waste, zero waste, all those things could be brought in. So it is more responsible production and consumption. So running, having an outlet where you pick up your company's waste. You do recycling and reuse of water and all within your campuses. You have an eco-friendly campus. All those things are part of the responsible consumption and production. The climate action, I think many of the corporate sectors are working in this area, particularly with regard to the mitigation and adaptation, the afforestation programs, because I think we have a mandate, nationally determined contribution mandate of having a 33% tree cover, and we are still working to achieve it. So there is definitely a lot of investment that seems to be going into climate action, and also because of the fact that the COP, which is the Climate Action Platform, came in much earlier than the Sustainable Development Goal Platform, and many of the corporates have caught on to that and have been doing a lot of activities with regard to the climate action, and you would find a lot of them having, earth hours and all those things which are contributing to the sustainability and the triple bottom line, because of the fact that climate action was on a much earlier mandate of the UN, and the Sustainable Development Platform started at a much later date. Then the 14th is life below water. This is the first time in the sustainability thing we have thought that the oceans, the water bodies, the rivers, all have to be taken care of. See, I think we took everything for granted. Whatever nature had to offer, we have taken for granted. But only few of the activists have been speaking that we have to take care. The resources of the nature are limited. We have to take care of all these things. But yet, this is yet to take on care of. So, life below water. So, how much of marine life is there? What are the different species? And more specifically, we have gone into the different species diversity. That is a very, it is an indicator of the propensity of the oceans to survive much longer than what is expected. Then life on land, same as I was saying about thing. Why do we have separate goals for water, land? I think it is to make us realize that the land, the water are all part of the things which we are taking for granted. Let us look at land. How much of land is left? And it could be cultivated, it will be just like that, barren lands. Not taken, reclaim those lands. We could reclaim, make it some source of value for it. So that sort of thing, bringing them back into, something, prevent desertification is an important goal. Unless you have greens, unless you have a green cover, we are in for a problem. So that would come under the life on land. It comes with the wildlife biodiversity. The flora, different flora and fauna that is there in here. What is the genetic diversity of a thing? We seem to have forgotten some of the plants. The sparrow, if you know, which was, we could remember in our old days that sparrow used to be a constant visitor to our house. But now do we see a sparrow? We now have a small group of people who are trying to trace where the sparrow is going and build houses for them so that they come and build their nests there. That's, we are moving the species out of the areas where they were habitating. Can we learn peaceful coexistence with them? Can we give them a space and learn to coexist with the different biodiversity species? What are the people biodiversity registers being created at the community level? What are the different species available? And how it is moving out with some of these new plants and things we keep and bringing it in, invasive species are there. But what the local species are there? How we can protect those species? These are the very important areas where the SDGs try to focus on. Then the 16 is the peace, justice and strong institutions. Then under the strong institutions, we have the government, we have all the different bodies. But most importantly, under strong institutions, you have the local governments, the Panchayati Raj institutions. As you was mentioning earlier, the Gram Sabhas is where you would actually have people vocalizing their actual need. You would not find that they will be asking for the moon, you give me so much of money. Their needs will be actually very, very minimal and as per what they can do for their thing. So those sort of things, if you can work with the community at the local level, then a strong institutional partnership, the next 17th part, where you are able to actually build a good partnership is established. For the goals to be reached, everyone needs to do their part. So all of us are there, so let's work on it. So the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable builds on the Millennium Goals, but they are different. If you look at the process, it is different. In 3 years, to evolve the 17 goals, there was a participatory process there. There were people who were engaged, the civil society organizations were there, the NGOs were there, the UN agencies were there, the corporates were there, big, huge multinational corporations were there, and who worked on defining these goals and coming up with it. They had working groups. And based on that, they came with this agenda. So the entire process itself is a participatory process. The evolution is a participatory process. The structure, that is different. And then the scope, they differ in the scope too. And you find that it has a broad scope. It allows for redefining, tweaking it in such a way so that you are able to define it for your own state in a separate way. See, if you find that the national indicative framework also is different, and slightly every state has tweaked it to their own interests. So, I'm just going into some of the targets that we sought to achieve by 2020. And as I said, that many of these targets would be very, very difficult to achieve. And there are 12 biodiversity related targets which have really gone for a toss because of the fact pollution due to COVID related thing has definitely gone up, endangering a lot of lives. And some other 7 related goals. So all these had to be achieved by 2020, and now it has been set back. There has been a setback. Why should India be part of this SDG thing? Should we actually have signed it? We have signed the document saying that we'll be part of this process. Why should we have signed it? Because we are the 7th largest country. If we don't do it, the world doesn't achieve it. We are the 7th largest country, we have to do it. And 2nd most populous country. After China, we are there. We have to work on it. So nearly 1/3 of the world's population is in below poverty line, and it belongs to us. So if it has to be a more equal and a more sustainable planet, we definitely need to go. And chronic malnutrition is still having it. And you will be surprised that Tamil Nadu, which started the midday meal scheme with the nutrition, we are still having problems in certain pockets, not able to achieve something basically that is not working towards addressing this issue. Still continues. Child marriage. Under 18 marriages are still happening. 1/3 of the marriages that happen in the world are happening in India, and it's still happening in Tamil Nadu too, in certain pockets. Not as if Tamil Nadu is developed enough and we don't have it here. We are having. And even during the COVID time, you would be surprised that we had calls from people saying that such and such a child is getting married. Would you come and stop it? So because it was a COVID time, we were able to intervene because of the lockdown. But otherwise, they would have escaped. We would not have been able to. So it would have been gone unnoticed. Because it was lockdown, because it was a COVID period, it was more visible to everybody around that this is child marriage, this child is getting married. She was only 17. And many often you find that when the child marriage takes place, it would be actually because say nobody else to take care of the girl. So in spite of so many systems available at the community level, at the thing, we would still find that getting a child married, getting a girl married is the best security one can offer. Tamil Nadu as a state has taken a lot of initiatives to see that girls complete up to 12th standard. And so a lot of girls are there who have completed up to high school education. But still we have children who either drop out before 10th or who are married off early. Both the pull and push factors account for, rather than keeping the girl child at home, it will be better to get her married off. Open defecation is 50%. Luckily with Swachh Bharat mission, we have tried to make a dent on this. But again, as I said, this is a matter of debate whether we have been able to sustain it. The behavior change communication has happened. And whether there is a continuous build into this to ensure that you don't have lapses from the thing. The maternal deaths. So maternal deaths, I think Tamil Nadu, we can say that we have been able to, because of the public health system in Tamil Nadu, been able to address the maternal and child death. We have already achieved, as far as infant mortality rate, our target. What is set for at the national level, not for us, then we are working. And we are aspiring for a much better global target. So, and the maternal deaths, maternal mortality ratio also we will be, I think, Tamil Nadu has invested a lot in the social sector development. So I think these are something in which we would vary as a state from the other states, where these are still persistent. So now we look at these finer intricacies of the SDGs. The Sustainable Development Goals are 17. They are the ultimate ambition, where we want to be. And the target, under it there is a target. You have targets, you say that we have to reach these goals, you have to do all these things. And then these are the indicators. And indicators will help you measure how far you are towards the target. Say by 2030 I will reach this target. If I say, how far am I to reach that target? This is where, as morning Mr. Ranganathan was saying, we should be pegging our thing, our indicators. Our outcome should be pegged to these indicators. So any CSR spend, if we are pegging to these already available indicators, we know that your contribution is going to the overall national development, the state's development. And this is very, very critical. So your outcomes should be pegged to these already available indicators, and how the society could, and what has been declared by the state as a state indicator framework, and that if you are able to align, it will make a lot of sense in your CSR spend. So 15 years, it was given to us, 10 over, 11 over in fact. So 17 goals, 169 targets by 2030. And we have to ensure that no one is left behind. And it is a global chain. It is not 1%, 2%. We protect the planet. This is 3 components: the social, the economic, and the environmental component will be looking into it. And India has 306 indicators for the 17 goals. We have 314. Our state feels that we need some more indicators. We have brought in more indicators. What is it in SDGs that was not there in MDGs? It is this flexibility to include more and see that your state or your country can develop more. You can take or leave some of the indicators, but we have taken on quite some more to ensure more for the state. So, how are these indicators? So 17 goals, how are these indicators? You will find that 70% is not by household surveys and are actually implementation. The government implements various programs and all this. So it is by, when you are aligning to the overall implementation strategies, then you would find that this indicators will be going up. So this is more critical in terms of your CSR spend. So each goal, you would just to give an idea how it goes about. Goal 1, if it has target 1, target 1.2, 1.1 will have 2 indicators or 3 indicators. 1.2 will have 1. It is how that is made. The entire, I'm saying just this is I've given with reference to one goal, but it is how the entire goal of for the 17 goals it goes like that. So overall, if you are progressing on certain goals, you can actually monitor it on a dashboard. And the state has a dashboard. It is there available in the website. Niti Aayog has a dashboard in which you can see the country's performance. The UN has a dashboard where we can see the country's performance. What is MOSPI? MOSPI is the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. This is the primary data point for us, who monitors our indicators, where the implementation scheme, which state is doing better, which is the, which indicator we are progressing, which we are regressing, which are not making any change. All those needs to be monitored. And anything that doesn't get monitored never gets done. That I think we have to accept it. You don't need a monitoring body to it, but we definitely need monitoring to see how that the indicators, whether we are achieving it, whether we are getting it done. So this the SDG focal point is MOSPI. The Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation is the data focal point. See, the data is the official data agency, and every year it prepares the national indicator of performance of the national indicators, where they are moving from X to Y and Y to Z. That is what every year we have reports coming out from them. What does Niti Aayog do? The premier institution which is supposed to bring the transformation. So we had Niti Aayog brought into thing because we were supposed to bring the transformation of India, and it is a nodal institution. We have think tanks on particular aspects where there is different agencies coming together. We have people who are academic experts, who are field level experts, coming and discussing issues. They have brainstorming sessions, and based on that they prepare status paper. And that is circulated to the ministries for them to devise strategies, plans for action. And this is where I think, as part of an enlightened group of people who are capable of working in your area of expertise, you could actually contribute either to the Niti Aayog or to the state, having certain goals, take up certain goals, to say, form certain committees, work and have a status plan or an action plan, how this can be improved from this place to this place. The government would actually benefit a lot from when it can be having an implementable solutions, taking into account what is there in the ground reality, and from moving from X to Y, what is the trajectory of growth that has to be, what would be the investments required, what the state can give, what the private can give, what can be got. These are things, some of the things that can be done as a joint action plan. So every year we have the SDG India index swing thing. We have one SDG base index we had, SDG 1, and then SDG 2 has come in 2019. We are expecting SDG 3 to come in December, the end of December they normally release. And I think they will be on time release, the SDG 3 index will be thing. So what's the state strategy if you look at this? We have an outcome-based monitoring. We are doing an outcome-based monitoring. We have identified different departments who are working on different goals. We have mapped their schemes. But we do have low-performing indicators. We have put in place certain people who are looking at how to improve these things. So various schemes have been put, and we have the development agenda is, we are starting to look at SDGs in a much more serious way. And schemes are now being tagged to the, scheme performance is being tagged to the SDG indicator performance. So this is what is happening as far as Tamil Nadu is concerned. And if you look at the rank with this the SDG previous thing, we are doing quite well. And you would find that I think we are in the 3rd position with Andhra, Tamil Nadu and Telangana. And these were the indicators that were used, 68 of the indicators, and modified national indicators, and then from the ministries. These were the indicators with which we were assessed. So it is not comparable. You cannot compare SDG 1 performance with the SDG 2 because these indicators keep changing. And then it will not be possible for us to compare these indicators. Say in SDG 1 we were this, SDG 2, because they are using a different set of indicators, and new indicators are being brought into the fold. So non-comparable, but definitely it gives you a relative position with other states. That is what we are likely to wanting to know, that where we are placed when compared to the other states. And that way, if you look at it, the SDG index does take into account. Now going on to the thing, I've taken the UN posters and try to explain how this particular thing is no poverty is eliminate poverty in all, end poverty in all its form is what the SDG thinks. And what can we do that corporates can do is actually encourage local enterprises. There are many local enterprises, even SHG products are there. They lack technology in branding, which corporates are very good in branding their products and things. But SHGs are manufacturing the thing, but they are not able to come up to the quality standards. They may require some basic training. They may require some hand-holding support to see what can be done to place their product, improve their product, and improve their market share, and or to get a sustained income from that thing. Many enterprises are not able to sustain themselves because of lack of standardization. You could help them with that. Is much more acute for them in the sense they will be pushed to, to the border of their limits, whereas we can actually do a much things. It's like we also grow, you also grow with us. That sort of concept, fostering a relationship with the local enterprises. And particularly in areas where you have marginalized communities, the tribal groups, the SC/ST communities there, in a large proportion, whether we can actually extend the differently abled people, maybe the single-headed, female-headed households, single, families with single old age women there who are still working, how we can extend support or do something like that. Then going on to the next, the zero hunger. Zero hunger is what the agriculture sector, our agriculture productivity, all the farmers now are on a big rampage now. The food security is at stake. Food security is not zero, hunger is not only food security, it is also nutritional security. We are looking at a chronic malnutrition and also two extremes. We have people, children who are obese, we have children who are undernourished, coexisting in the same thing. How do we address it? These are two extremes, ends of a spectrum. And any one policy is not going to address both these things. So what is a diet pattern? What is the nutritional requirements? I've seen in many schools in the rural areas, children do not have a breakfast when they come to school. It's not one case, two case. I've done quite a stint of, training with girl children. And they all tell me that I had only tea. I did not have anything. Last meal was at 8 o'clock the previous night. Just imagine a child or a growing adolescent going without food for more than 12 hours. So and she is likely to graduate into a young mother, probably given the economic situation. She may be married off by the time she finishes 12. 18 years, 19 years, then what do we expect of our young mothers? Health of the nation has to be addressed, and hunger. These are chronic hidden hunger due to the nutrient thing. We do not have enough nutrition for our growing population. Whether that is being addressed. How can we ensure that the government is looking at a policy of the government of Pondicherry has a policy where they have extended the midday meals to the breakfast also now. So Tamil Nadu is also may come up with one such policy in the near future, because many of the times you find that this is a very serious situation to contend with. There is also, you find one area where you don't have food for eating and then people go hungry, where you find another spectrum where people keep wasting food. You don't eat food cooked yesterday, you just waste. This is a situation we see in a lot of urban areas. Cities in Mexico have come up with solutions, like they're putting, even in Chennai also I heard, they put whatever is left over in a fridge outside, anybody can take it. They don't have to pay anything, but some hungry person is going to take. Those sort of initiatives, local initiatives, which would actually think. You don't have to have a systematic policy, but these are some things which can think of, like running a food bank, a grain bank in a particular area, and also you could have, like he was mentioning here, storage facilities, cold storage facilities, the warehouses, all those things could be done at the panchayat level. If you are there in that area, the panchayat is your adjoining area, you could actually saying that instead of a farmer selling it at a low price, you could offer, a warehouse. You could build it out of your thing and offer him to in a sustainable model. How to run it? You can give it to a farmer's enterprise group to run this. The supporting farmer producer organization is part of CSR, and then going on to the goal 3. I think lot of activities have now gone this particular year, good health and well-being, and we find that what is now not done is particularly on the issue of mental health. We are still finding that there are a lot of people who are requiring support in terms of emotional and psychological support. There's a mental distress, a lot of inability to cope and deal with stress. And that is having a negative impact. We find that suicide rates are going up. This is reflected in that. It may not come a figure in this goal, but definitely this has an impact on even the productivity. And also alcoholism, drug abuse, these are all part of this. So this goal, it does not look into, if you're not able to address on the local community and the people, the whole entire value chain, if those people who you do not offer any programs or sustained solutions to this, you would definitely have a problem in terms of sustainability. So that needs to be done. And as we are going on the development path, we find that the mental health needs more focus, not as labeling and a thing, but we actually have to look at it. Then the quality of education, we have said that now MMA is also taking up some activities, I think, to do things. But one thing I would like to point out at this point of time, because of COVID, the education has actually had a tremendous, I would say that the 4, quality of education is what has taken a terrible hit. Compared to any other goal, I would say that this has taken a the entire one generation of, people who are either trying to graduate or trying to move to the exams, they're all finding it very difficult to move to the digital platform, finding learning becoming very, very stressful, inability to handle and all that. We say that it is easy, and there has become a digital divide between those who are having laptops, mobiles to connect, and those who do not have. And that is more visible at the, education at the corporation schools and all those schools where this is trying to be a very great challenge. And many of the students are not able to relate, and you find that girls are particularly affected. When you have 2 mobiles, one the parent is using for his or her work, and the one will go normally to the boy and not the girl. So that happens, and we are seeing it in the field happening. How to address it? That actually we need partnerships. There has to be some sort where we can bridge this digital divide, and the quality of education can be improved. So gender equality, as I spoke earlier, the representation and all that has to be looked at, and we can improve the training of women at the grassroots, you give some support to the local SHG movement there, all this can be done. So I had also mentioned this earlier when I was introducing the goals, the reduce, recycle, reuse and recharge, particularly important now that we recharge our water bodies, the water, the groundwater in the area. Affordable and clean energy, we create our own systems of renewable energy sources. We're able to tap into the renewable energy sources, whether we can have localized energy generation and tap into the grid. Whatever is excess, we can be allowed to taken into the grid. So decent work and economic growth. We have discussed it quite thing. The industry innovation and infrastructure, supporting infrastructure in village roads, which may need some development, we could invest in that, and that too with the cooperation of with the governments. So reduce inequalities, it could be with the support of the governments, and how the marginalized communities, the marginalized people from differently able, the people with learning disabilities could be mainstream, could be part of this agenda. The sustainable cities and the solid liquid waste management, rules, regulations, how as corporates we can encourage communities nearby to also abide by this, and also to provide support and for green and affordable transport too. And this is what I was mentioning, we have food wastage, how we can handle this, this can be done, and this could be also looked at from a different. And this climate action is, as I mentioned earlier, climate action is one of the primary areas where corporates were earlier working on, and we have worked, but a lot more has to be done. It's not as we have reached the level required. We still have to invest more, and we have to look at reducing emissions, reducing, have more mitigation and adaptation technologies and things, so that the climate thing, we are able to reduce our carbon footprint. The life below water, water stressed, water starved state. So we have various programs at the state level, at the national level, where we can co-opt and work together with the government to restore and recharge and keep our water bodies safe. So this is with regard to the people's biodiversity register. What is the endangered species, the species in the available that are there in the area where you live, and how you can promote, saving those endangered species could be part of. When looking at the particular things, the state tree is the palm tree. So how many palm trees do you see if you look at it? So we have a state tree, declared tree, it's a palm tree. How many of us plant palm trees? So those are, we have very few areas have things. And across if you look at the mangroves, and all those things have actually, they were supposed to be along the Adayar and Kuvam, we were supposed to have smaller, variety of mangroves to be present here. But we still think that this is only the Pichavaram area we had the mangroves. But there were, because Madras became urbanized much earlier than other areas, we have lost a lot of it much earlier than the others. So those are some of the things we can actually do. There's some program that is going on, which is trying to revive the river restoration, the Chennai River Restoration Trust, which is trying to revive the waterways of Chennai, Adayar, Kuvam and all that. So peace and justice, strong institutions, we would actually look at how the different things, and this particular goals also looks at crimes against children. How we look at our children, the aspect of the internet cyber crime that is increasing, how we can find solutions to help out and reach out to children in this particular thing, and concerned with your basic identity and proofs and all those things. The internet connect is part of this goal, how your tele-density and ICT communication, all this is part of this goal. And most importantly, the last goal, which I think is the most important goal, because it actually connects all the goals, and you create partnerships, and you're not working in silos. We create partnerships so that we work together towards a common goal of these things. This is SDGs. 17 is all these 17 goals is a to-do list for the planet. And United Nations has said this. Now coming back to what Krishna Swami said, many of these are actually can be linked up. If after looking at this, you can probably see which goal do they fit in. I think all of you are quite, have looked at the goals quite seriously. Will be able to relate. Are they related or not? Yes. So, can we have an SDG and CSR connect? Yes. That I think is ultimately the objective of this whole meeting. And because these are part of the already existing mandate for CSR spend, and SDG is something that has come out new, let us align with the UN goals and the national goals, the state goals, and achieve what. This is at the UN. I'm speaking about the UN level. Now look at the grassroots level, where the localities where you're, the Gram Panchayat Development People's Plan. There's a huge plan that is the government of India is promoting, where you are part. He said, attend the Grama Sabhas where you are based. This actually will help. You are part of the framing of the policies. You could, what you want to happen, see the change, be part of that change. If you want that locality where you are located to change, be part of that. So in good, be part of the resource planning. Whether there is a resource crunch in that particular panchayat, they could fill it up. That can happen. That provisioning is there in the Gram Panchayat development plans. We could align ourselves there and the localities where you are located. Please look for these, and these Gram Sabhas are excellent bodies, and you could invest in seeing the change and being part of the change in that area. So just to wind up, this is where we stand. And I think except for a few reds, I think we are doing quite well in Tamil Nadu. And gender equality, as I said, is a point of thing. We take a lot of things for granted when it comes to women. Gender equality, a finance minister, defense minister being a woman does not mean that women are empowered. We still have a long way to go. So I think we have to work on it quite seriously, and that is what I would like to say. And we need to hold on to this concept, work towards it, and we are all in this together. We cannot make it or do it alone. And each goal is important in itself, and they are all connected. And that is what we have to do. And the reason I'm here is I think that even a committed group of people can make the change happen. And I think now this would be a start point for a long journey together of SDGs and CSR. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sujata and Mr. Krishnaswamy. May I request both of you to take the place on the dais, please. We have some time for a few quick questions. So, ladies and gentlemen, both of them you have seen they have been so very professional in their approach, and there is a lot to talk about on the subject, and I think they have did their best given the time constraints. So we have a lot of questions coming up. Let us see how many we will be able to take. Maybe we will combine a few and take them together. We've got some questions on the internet as well. So let me start with a question that has come from a student, possibly on the internet, and this is, I think, directly to Dr. Sujata, because she actually mentioned something about the food wastage. There is a Mamta Jain from one of the colleges in Vizag. She's asked, ma'am, my question is, where can we report food wastage, particularly in events like Tomatino Festival? And I tried to stop this through Twitter, but failed. I mean, where does she report so that, these kind of events can be stopped? She's talked about this Tomatino Festival. I think it is something which happens in Italy. She possibly talks about that.
But I think the concept is not of reporting and waiting for someone to take action. I think it has to become much more than that. You don't need someone to police such action. But we could actually offer, saying that if there are food wastage, can we look at, probably spaces where we can donate food. Now, many of the conscious people are actually, in case a marriage is being fixed and we have leftovers, we go and give to the nearest orphanage. We have links with that. We are doing it to a certain extent. But yes, we need to actually have some institutional mechanism probably. Say that you have so much of food, think 10 people food is there, you please give. Like that, some setup where we could actually connect and give it. So instead of making it a policing and a reporting and, taking legal action, I think that normally doesn't work in the long run. Even though, I expect laws to define and govern, I think it is more of participating. You are understanding that the amount of food waste would be thing. Tatas, incidentally, you would have heard how Tatas reduce in their canteens the food wastage by saying that take only how much you are able to eat, nothing more. And I think they were able to achieve it and move towards zero wastage. I think it is a matter of speaking that you are depriving so much of food by putting it of so many poor people. That will make a positive impact rather than a punishing attitude, I think.
Yeah, we got it, ma'am. Thank you. So as of now, we have about 780 people watching this program live on various social media channels. Thanks to them. And also, we have sent you the questionnaire today, which Group Captain Vijay Kumar in his morning address talked about. A set of questions pertaining to the SDGs, and we'll request all of you to send in the responses. There's a very set of easy questions. We'll request you to do it today itself so that we can get the responses and we'll take it forward. Sir? Yeah. Okay. We've given you time till end of this month, but preferably as quickly as possible. Next question go to Mr. Krishna Swami. So there are many organizations in Chennai itself which are very good in CSR policy. One organization, Mr. Venkatesh has named is Sundaram Fastness. So will ESG compliance not improve CSR? That's his question.
Pardon?
ESG compliance.
ESG compliance.
Will it improve the CSR?
ESG compliance will definitely improve CSR. ESG is nothing but environment, social governance. So there are companies which follow this policy of ESG. And recently, I think Kota Mahindra has come out with ESG bonds also, something like that. So ESG compliance will definitely improve CSR straight away.
Right, sir. Thank you. We take that. And one question from Mr. Ramesh. Sir, we are a service organization.
See, that is where you should be smart enough to choose your indicators. Which indicator you are going to measure? As far as the student, when he comes in, what are the indicators you are going to measure when he comes in? And when the program is over, or you can even measure those indicators in between. Okay. The benchmarks which you set up is only important. It is your choice. And ultimately, your final indicator, that is where you map the indicators with the student and the progress you can study gradually. Okay. If it is a 3-year program also, if the corporate who is funding you agrees, it is enough that you give the final impact after 4 years. That is, it is between you and the corporate who is funding you.
Okay. So the indicator I can say it's only the education, means like, they are continuing their education or they complete the education. Or I can say indicator is their employment.
No, indicator in the sense, the person who's, see, for a water body I will tell you, because I am used to it, I will tell you. I am desilting a water body. What is the outcome? Outcome is I am increasing the capacity of the water body.
Okay.
Okay. And what is my impact? The nearby borewells, the water level should come up. So naturally the indicator is the level of the borewells in the surrounding areas. In your relevant field, whichever you are working, you think about the targets, you think about the indicators, you think about the goals. And if you are going to align it with the SDGs, nothing like that.
You have to link it with the outcomes.
Outcomes.
That's the primary thing. It's not an impact assessment,
Okay.
but more in terms of the outcomes. How many people have been, have improved their knowledge levels? How many have been? Those type of indicators which you can actually define it based on the indicators already available.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Dr. Sujata, for gender equality, there is a question from Dr. Vasudevan. Doctor, for gender equality, reservation may be a short-term solution. In the long run, would it not be ideal to make organizations more transparent? Reasons for choosing one over the other?
No, I don't agree. I think we need reservation. But not even 33% is enough. I would say 50%. We are 50% of the population. Why not have 50% of the reservation? Because why we need reservation is it is not a level playing field. First, that we have to understand. It's the same like reservation for the marginalized communities. For women also there needs to be reservation. Unless otherwise it will not be possible to achieve equality. It is not even equality, I'm speaking about equity. There is a concept called equity, and I think we need reservation. And I would strongly advocate a 50% reservation, because then only we will reach the 33%.
Right. So, Mr. Krishnaswamy, the question to you is, should a trust which is registered also required to give a minimum compliance report? If yes, to whom?
trust is the easiest thing. You have to report only to the income tax association. And to make it more compliant, your annual reports should be pakka. The annual report will give you what are the activities you undertaken, what is the value of money that you handle over the year. So trust is very easy. You come to the society, then you have to report to the Register of Societies also, income tax, and then you come to the company, Section 8 company, then you get into the Register of Companies also.
Right, sir.
Done.
So the next question is, what about the welfare of senior citizens? One Mr. Muralidharan is asking, is it also covered under CSR activities?
Old age homes, daycare centers, all these things come under CSR. That is where the senior citizens come into play, not anywhere else. And of course, they are covered under any other category. Thank you.
Right, sir. And one question again is from Sam Nicholas. Can we have a standard template to track and report CSR project impact spending? Is there any standard template for that, sir?
There cannot be any standard template, Sam. It's basically project-wise it will vary. You have to create your own templates, and how you agree with the person who is giving you the money, and then the reporting. The government does not have any standard template for all these things. So you have to take it according to what project you are doing. Maybe in water body or education or hunger, nutrition, all these things. That is nothing else. Thank you.
Right, sir. Mr. Subir Muhanti, he's asking, how relevant is social accountability? 8,000 standards vis-a-vis CSR Act rules amendments.
Pardon? 8,000?
He says there are 8,000 standards vis-a-vis the CSR Act rules and amendments. So how relevant is social accountability?
Can you please clarify? 1 minute, you can just get the mic. Some others can hear you.
There is a social accountability standard, that is international standard.
Okay.
That is called SA 8000. So how relevant is that standard now after the amendment of, because it is old standard. It was done sometime in 2003, 2004. It is an international standard, Social Accountability International. And corporates, they follow this standard. So now after this amendment, what was done, the Act was in 2013 and now it is amended now. How relevant is that? Whether it will hold good?
See, social accountability and social return on investment, lot of other things are there which come along with CSR activity, any activity for the sake. You take a company, corporate or working also, all these things will come into place. So the amendment of the Act or the Act as such will not have any impact on such things. Only thing, how you are viewing the Act, how you are viewing the amendment, that is there. Your social accountability can be traced based on your activities. It is independent of the Act as such. As per the Act, you are doing some activities. How social accountable you are, that is the crux of the question. I don't think you are clear enough.
No, I am very clear, sir.
Huh?
I am very clear.
You're
so
clear
now, yeah, I am very clear.
No,
so now whether now that...
Whether I answered you properly, I don't know. That's what.
No, it's actually it's not clear. Because now there is a standard. It is internal standard.
No, unfortunately, I am not familiar with the social accounting standards. That's a separate topic on its own.
Okay.
You have social accounting standards. SAN India is there. A lot of people at social return on investment. Some corporates ask for social return on investments. NGOs, be careful. Every money spent, how much does it impact individuals? That is all. So that is also there. So this is totally different topic, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We'll have just last question for the day before we move for lunch. I think either of you can take this question. It says that NGOs who implement the projects at the ground level have a feeling that the government agencies at the Panchayat Raj level or the urban bodies like the block and ward levels are not very much conversant with these CSR procedures and SDGs. Is there any attempt to educate them on this?
See, this is what I suggested in my last slide, last but one slide. Okay? The SDGs have to be taken to the Panchayat Raj level. SDGs have to go into the corporates. It has to go into the implementing agencies. Unless you do that, we are not going anywhere. Then this will be the sort of a V sort of development be happening. These people will be working in a different line, the others in a different line. It will be very difficult for the SDG dashboard also to update such activities. Thank you.
So to add on to what he says is the government is taking efforts for localization of SDGs. It is giving training, as started on working on it, to giving training to the departments who are dealing with SDGs at the next level with the urban local bodies thing and thing. But the thing is, Panchayat Raj institutions, we have had only recent elections happened in probably October, November, and we have had the corona fallout. So I think that time for training and all is now, I think we are now starting again to start working on the thing. And all the panchayats were earlier involved with COVID related work. So now we are starting to look at SDGs now in a much more focused way. So the training aspect for panchayat representatives, panchayat level leaders is in the annual, and it is going to be taken up in a big way. So that SDGs, then they will be aligned to the SDG goals. Panchayats will become, and also the government of India is also looking at the SDG level localization, and the mandate is there. So I think it will happen, and whatever delays have happened will be hopefully rectified soon.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. And there have been a lot of other questions as well. Sorry, in the interest of time, we're not able to take, but many of them are very, very simple things which you can find in Google, like how much percentage and what are the activities to be done and all that. I think you'll be able to find answers. Or the speakers are available offline immediately after this session. Please do connect with them. Somebody has asked, will you come and share your knowledge in our institution? All those things we can discuss. There's no problem. Thank you, Dr. Sujata and Mr. Krishnaswamy, for being so very considerate, sparing so much of your time. Ladies and gentlemen, you deserve a round of applause. And we all hope to see you more frequently at MMA. May now request our knowledge partner of this event, Mr. Krishnaswamy, to propose his formal vote of thanks before we break for lunch.